what's up, buttercups? I'm back again like a long lost friend. And look who I have with me. My God, Sam, it's been forever. Oh, she's not talking to me. That's okay. Well, okay, on my own panel, on my own stream.
You mean like on YouTube, not in real life, right?
Here we go. Here we go. Hi, Kiss. Hi, Dar. Good to see you. Who else did I see? Sheila was in there. I'm not saying hi to you, Sam.
Fuck off then. I'm just going to go back to my own live stream, my own channel.
You got your own garbage dump channel over there. How are you, buddy? Cassius is here, of course. Tracy Edwards.
What happened? You broke up. Are you there?
Uh-oh. Am I not? Oh, am I here now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Am I here? I think I can hear
you.
If I don't hear you, then I'm hearing voices in my head. Hello?
We just need to know if there's a lag. Okay, I'm going to say, is there a lag? You answer yes or no.
No.
The answer is you took a long time to answer that.
Well, not from my end. All right. Well, this will be fun. I'm not on the best connection, so that's why I didn't bother doing any musical intro. I'm going to try and make this short and sweet and just get to the point. Can you guys in the chat hear me? Because I know Sam's fucking with me, and she usually does. Hi, Baroness. Great to see you.
No,
some things, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Stay the same. Do you like my over-exaggerated use of emojis in my name there?
I do. I love the little red car. Thank you, Cassius, for having enough common sense to know that I can't figure out what's going on, what's up, what's down.
Are you on the left side today, or am I? God. That's always a fun question to ask.
I'm on the left. You're on my right.
But you're on my left.
Is that? I was gonna say, but that might be different for you.
Are we looking at the audience, or are we looking at each other?
Well, I'm looking at both.
Do we have an audience?
I'm looking at you. Yeah, we do. Baroness is here. Sheila. Well, Cassius, of course. Tracy Edwards. Kiss. Dar's here.
Stalker.
Sheila. Yeah, that stalker Cassius. She is on the right. See, she's forever messing with my head. I don't know why I put up with this psychological abuse from you, Sam.
Because you love me,
this is not. Oh, I will never admit that publicly live. No, I don't, but I maybe do. Okay, so I think maybe what we'll do is what?
No, the layout is a little different. Okay.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. That's why I'm not touching anything. I'm not playing no videos. I'm not doing nothing because it's a mess in back here. I've got no idea. It's changed so much. Well, yes.
Well, I was going to say
Unwanted Peanut Gallery.
Yeah, I think we do have a bit of a lag. I was going to say I could get onto the laptop if you wanted me to share anything for you, but since we don't communicate at all, especially before doing a live stream, like, what do I need to know? No, she's like, you don't ever read my fucking community posts. What kind of friend are you? I'm like, I don't want to read all that shit. Just dumb it down for me if you can.
Never mind the community posts. You never read my personal messages to you. What are you talking about?
I have not. I have been, I'm going to tell you, it has been crazy, and I have not been on Messenger other than, and I'm not making excuses, but like emergency use only when it comes to my daughter. There's just, things that are happening in real life and just going on. And I've, just kind of, when I'm hyper-focused on something, I'm hyper-focused on something. And that something is my daughter over the last couple of weeks, and that has been it. And of course, Cassius, and as y'all know, he decided to bring home a kitten. So that's pretty much been it. And
oh my God,
yeah,
I missed all of when I was listening back last night. I was howling when I heard you say, because I missed all of it with this shitty connection, jumping up and down and not being heard, that he came home and said he found a seagull.
A baby seagull, because where he lives, And, you know, or around, you know, because we're off the coast and there's just like a shit ton of seagulls, and then they have their babies this time of year. So they're all like, you know, all over. And so he brings in this huge box, like almost as big as him. And he's like, I found this baby seagull in the street. And I said, don't bring it in here. They have avian diseases, for fuck's sake. And he opens up the
So,
box and there's this little tiny white puffball. So yeah, that's how we came to get this cat that he, yeah. So there, I'm glad that made you laugh.
so well, I howled last night, but I've just taken over ownership of. I'm making Suki my mask cat on this channel, not mascot, mask cat.
Okay. Okay.
And I meant to ask you yesterday, does the kitten have a Scottish meow?
No, I think it's a Texas Scottish mix. It comes out
A
like
little.
like that, like really kind of angry, a little angry, but a little scared. You know, a little Southern, a little
Oh,
Scottish, like don't fuck with me. You know, that kind of thing.
I also kind of laughed last night when you were describing Cassius's crazy black cat from hell, like doing the boo, 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 boo on Suki's little head. That was what I was envisioning
Oh God,
with
he
the paw.
did. I'm like, stop it. Be nice to her. Boom, 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 boom. And it just bounces off her little head,
Well,
and she's like stunned. He's like, "Don't fuck." He's like, "Look at young blood. Don't fuck with me, okay? This is my house." And he just kind of, you know, gives her a
Cassius,
little
it's
smack
a
on the head.
Scottish growl.
The Scottish growl.
So cute, so cute.
Who's in the? Hi everybody in the chat. Hi everybody. So
Don't say hi to
I told Jen,
Salty.
I just don't. Yeah, everybody just ignore me like I'm not here. Damn, y'all are mean. If I
What were you
wanted
gonna
this
say
shit, I'll
before I
just
so
go
rudely
back to my
interrupted?
channel. I was gonna say I when I messaged JC and I said just kind of break it down for me because she's like, hey, do you want to do a live stream later? I'm like, okay, what are we talking about? And then Wiccan was on, and I'm
Throwing.
hearing Wiccan and them asking if JC was could come in and answer some questions. And then I got up on the live and I said, well, I
Well,
think she wants to do a live stream later. So dumb it down for us
well,
and tell
that's
me what I need to know.
I will. And I first off want to. I did check to see if Wiccan was live or going live, and I didn't see a notification. So I started doing some other stuff. And when I messaged you, as you know, you told me she was live, and I was like, after I'd asked you, and I didn't realize, and I thought, okay, well, I'll come up. But then Sam told me it was over. So Wiccan, I apologize. I wasn't trying to hone in on your live territory. I actually didn't realize you were live. So my most sincere of apologies. You can have Sam back when I'm done here. I really didn't want her anyway.
Let me tell you a story this reminds
All
me of
right,
really
so
quick
let's
before we get into anything serious. Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
what you just said. My
Yeah,
dad,
no, go right
okay,
ahead.
when I was the youngest, I'm the youngest of five children. And when my mom and dad, they owned several properties up in the hill country of Texas. And they bought one property, and it would have been, I think, like 1977 or 1978. And I remember when they were building the house, and he brought me and my sister, who's the fourth, right, to the house, and he said, "Okay, y'all pick out your bedroom, y'all do this, y'all do that." And I was like 3 years old, 4 years old. So we move in, and he put up this big old swing set in the backyard for us. And I'll never forget this because my brothers were pushing me to see who could push me the highest and get me to fall off, right? But I didn't know that at the time. And so what happens, they pushed me high and I went flying off of the swing. And then they go to pick me
Oh no.
up, right? And my dad came running out of the house, and I'll never forget it. He said, "Your sister is not a rag doll. God damn it. Put her down." So I'll never forget that. "Your sister's not a rag doll. God damn it. Put her down." Which they did. And so, yeah, Wicked, I guess I'm your rag doll when this live stream is over. That's my point. I'm not a rag doll, damn it. You can't just push me around on the different live streams,
A
JC.
lonely child. I was just an only child. Oh, hang
Loser.
on. Did you hear me?
That you're an only child.
Yeah. Only, not lonely.
Only, yeah, not lonely. And
All
I said
right.
you're a loser, but I can't say that. Okay,
Well, you
never
already
mind.
did. If it makes you feel better, off
I
you
take
go.
it
I've been
back.
called far worse names on this platform than loser. That's the least of the painful, hurty words and hurty feelings that I could get.
I
Okay,
love you,
let's
though.
get
You know
serious
that.
here. You know, I
Okay,
love you
let's
too.
do it.
I wish this connection was better because I would feel a lot more. I wouldn't feel as anxious. It really is a bad connection. So as much as I would
Well,
love to play for hours,
you sound good. Go ahead. I'll mute.
well, thank you. No, don't mute. Anyway, so what I basically, I mean, Sam has, I gave her the Cole's notes version, and she kind of has an idea. I said, any questions you don't understand, ask me on the stream because I'm not spending 3 hours explaining to you before. So we're gonna have a quick catch up with obviously the latest developments regarding Frankie's civil claim, the default judgment. And before I even, so with his default judgment and along with the subsequent updates regarding this exemplary cost claim request from him and Cohen Davis that has since been withdrawn by the claimant. So let's just, before we get into any brass tactics, I want to make it very clear for everybody that doesn't understand. So we know that that civil claim was filed in 2021. The claimant was granted a default judgment on the civil claim because, not because it was proven that AD's liable of defamation and harassment via any trial. He was granted a default judgment because AD's defense was procedurally struck out. So again, claimant was granted a default judgment because AD's defense was procedurally struck out. He did not win because the case did prove AD is liable of defamation and harassment by a trial. Those are two very different findings. Yeah. So those in Dopey Delve over in All Hate trying to, contradict herself, and Helen Schaefer saying that, it wasn't a default judgment. It was proven, that he was found liable of defamation. It wasn't proven by any type of trial. So with that being said, I guess AD has been working very furiously and feverishly in behind the scenes. There was a written order that I have put in my last couple community posts that came directly from Mr. Justice Nicklin, and that's his actual name, Mr. Justice Nicklin. The order was dated July 17th, 2025. So just last week. Mr. Justice Nicklin ordered that. So after this civil claim, the claimant and his solicitors submitted a claim for exemplary for cost. Let me try this again. They submitted a request for or an exemplary damages cost claim. So basically, what an exemplary damages claim is, it's actually considered in the UK the most extreme and punitive form of damages that a court can award in civil court. This exemplary damages cost claim always has depended on proving that there's been outrageous / extreme conduct or malicious intent. Now, to support this claim, the claimant would have been required or needed, would likely have had to hand over key documents. He would have been cross-examined under oath about his behavior, fundraisings, the non-lawyering liar Claire Morgan. So again, to pursue these exemplary damages, the claimant most likely would have had to disclose, and his solicitors would have had to disclose internal communications, number one. Number two, justify public funds.
Kind of cut out there. You're cutting out for me. Let's give her a second, or give me a second, see if she comes back. Is it just me, or did she cut out there? And I'm all by myself. Okay, well, it's a good thing. Like I said, I can improvise. So JC dropped. Y'all know her connection is not the best. And Suki Cat is trying to play with me right now and chewing on my fingers. So let me improvise. There she is, and she's back. Tag, you're it.
All right. Am I back?
I got no sound. I don't hear anything from you. Now you're back.
All right. See, I'm going to have to do that when it cuts out. So sorry about that, guys. I'm doing the best I can with this type of connection here. So anyway, so number one, the claimant would have likely have had to, and his solicitors, disclose internal communications. Number two, justify public fundraising representations, and number 3, the
Mhm.
claimant would likely have had to be cross-examined under oath, including
Mhm.
about it, so in regards to himself, and that includes the conduct that was involved in his legal and fundraising campaign.
Yeah,
Now,
that's a big fucking
as it
scary thing to think about.
yeah, exactly. So that brings us back to, so the order that was made by Justice Nicklin on July 17th, just last week. If the claim, so this is quoted from this written order from July 17th. If
Okay.
the claim for exemplary damages is to be pursued, then the defendant is entitled to defend himself against a claim for said remedy. Now, again, let's go back to this default judgment. Again, he was granted a default judgment because AD's defense was procedurally struck out, not because Frankie's case proved that AD was liable of defamation and harassment in a trial. If that was the case, then why would the defendant be entitled to defend himself if he'd already tried to defend himself and he lost?
Yeah. Yes, it makes sense. Just in case, could I say something really quickly, just in case most people don't realize it? I stopped paying attention to this shit a very long time ago, and I mean a really long time ago, long before AD was even off of YouTube. So anything I hear or whatever will come from JC, all of that. And when she told me that somebody had said, what, I don't know what they're like, oh, whenever the court case is coming to a close or something happens, they get really loud. And I said, I literally said, I thought that was over. And JC started laughing at me. She said, exactly. I said, no, but I really thought it was over. So his default judgment was made because he didn't present a defense.
Well, yeah, because with the civil claim, the default judgment was handed down because AD's defense was procedurally struck out, right? There was no trial. Nothing was proven in a trial that AD actually defamed and harassed anyone. So now let's bring that to after that default judgment, because AD's defense was procedurally struck out, right? Then it turned into, there was supposed to be the remedies hearing on July 24th, where a certain amoral cast of questionable characters were being, we're going to use the term overly dramatic for Dopey Delve, stating that, what was this? AD's going to be clapped in irons. He's going to jail. His assets are going to be seized under the Old Bailey, blah, 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 blah. Well, so that was supposed to happen on July 24th. Now, as certain people like to try to utilize case board's last case activity date change to have always inferred that it was something negative against AD. Unfortunately for those mealy mouthpieces, that wasn't the case. So when this order from Mr. Justice Nicklin came down on July 17th, if the claim for exemplary damages, so again, the claimant and his solicitors, after getting the default judgment, submitted a claim request for exemplary damages cost. And for those that missed it, exemplary damages costs are the most extreme and punitive form of damages that a civil court can award. So they have to, the claim depends on proving that AD exhibited outrageous / extreme conduct or malicious intent. So when that order came down on July 17th, that effectively canceled the remedies hearing on the 24th that certain people were like, it's all going to be done and dusted on the 24th. Now, that was postponed. I'm not sure if there is another date. I know Frankie's alluded to one in October. I can't deny or confirm that that's true. But while AD is seeking appeal, that remedy hearing was canceled on the 24th.
Yeah,
now,
obviously. Because if you're seeking an appeal, why would there be a remedy hearing?
Well, exactly. So, is everybody with me so far? Are there any questions you have, Sam? Anybody in the chat? I just want to make sure that I'm explaining it as best as I can with my good buddy Salty's help here.
No, I understand it. I understand it full well. I just, my observations are that you do not absolutely, the last thing you would want is to have Frank Rzucek Jr. get up there under oath and testify to anything, especially when it comes to the crowd justice fund, the fundraising for the
Morgan,
quote unquote lawsuit. You'd have to answer about Claire
Yep.
Morgan. Your Cohen is bears a lot of responsibility because he said that, yeah, no, she never did anything for us like that, but blah 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 blah. The SRA denies this, but then they say, yeah,
They
Claire
claim to
Morgan,
have
we know
no.
who she is, and
Yep.
no affiliation with her. So all of that would have
Yep.
to come out. Absolutely. I mentioned on Wiccan's live stream, and I'm just going to throw this to you really quickly,
Possibly
JC,
all those
that
false copyright strikes that Claire Morgan
all the
dropped,
false
that might become
copyright
up.
strikes,
That
everything would come up, not to mention all of the people that say that they work for Frank Rzucek Jr., their perpetual campaign of real life stalking, the threats being made, the harassment, the abuse, everything, all of that surrounding it. I mean, and they say that they literally claim that they work for Frank Rzucek Jr. But okay, so the particulars of claim. Remember, in the particulars of claim, at the very end, it states very clearly that Frank Rzucek Jr. and Yer Cohen, did she drop again? Wanted the income, the residuals, the earnings of the Watts case library of ADs. They didn't ask to have him removed. They wanted past earnings, present earnings, and future earnings from that. JC, oh wait. So that was in the particulars of claim. So that they were looking for money. And that was one of the first things that needed to be filed. And I'm alone again.
no,
And she's back again.
I show myself twice backstage. I'm like a yo-yo with this connection. Money, 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 money,
I was
money, money.
money. So you remember in the particulars of claim, they were asking for the money from the past, to make up for the past remedies from his Watts case content library and the library that he had on his channel or channels, the present and the future. So they never asked for AD to be removed or to have any of his Watts content removed. They wanted the money from it. You remember that in the particulars of
Well,
claim?
yeah, I do, and it's
Yeah.
interesting you say that because I made a point on Wiccan's channel yesterday, which I found to be very interesting. How it selectively, Cohen Davis claiming that they were responsible for having AD removed. How come it took them 2 years to have him removed, but they were able to remove my video within 2 days because they didn't want it out there? To make that make sense.
They didn't. Yeah, that's just another lie being perpetuated by, the schemy, scammy lawyers. Oh, we had him removed. We have Claire Morgan on tape saying back in, what was it, 2020 or whenever, that y'all went and met with Google Legal that day and that AD was going to be removed the next Monday,
Yep.
the following Monday.
The
I
next
mean, that
or
y'all
the
met with
live
Google Legal. Yep, and y'all were
or the
and
next
he was
live
going to be
stream he
gone by
was going to
then.
do.
Yes,
Yep.
or during the next live stream that he was going to do. So representing herself as being in on that meeting with Yer Cohen and Google Legal. I mean, this is shit that we have on tape that she was telling us in these live streams. So if they really wanted AD removed, he would have been removed. I'm sure it could have been, it's been done before and it can happen, but it didn't happen in this case. So for them to claim that they had him removed, especially after all this time, I can't fucking believe that. It's a fucking farce because in the particulars of claim, they wanted him and his money from the Watts content. They didn't ask specific. They didn't want it to be removed. They didn't want AD to be removed. They wanted the money that he was making off of the Watts content.
Well, do you remember also? I mean, I've been saying this. It might have been maybe a few weeks after you and I first came out back in November. It was November 2021 when we did that first live stream. So what if Claire lied?
Yeah.
If you recall,
Yeah.
I started saying a few weeks, and now in hindsight, I was right on the money for pun intended, right on the money. Okay, sorry, that was a bad joke, but it had to be done. Remember me saying that had Cohen Davis had AD removed at that point, what would the point have been collecting all this money to remove AD from to stop the suffering? What would the point have been to collect all that money to see him? So they I mean, yep.
Exactly. And that's it's still ongoing. So you're still collecting money to have this guy removed or to fund a lawsuit that's been playing out in the courts on and off for the last how many years? I mentioned this on Wiccan's live stream earlier today. You mentioned yesterday, how long is this going to drag on? I mean, perpetually. How long is this fucking project going to be on? I mean, it's going to be going on forever because it goes straight into your Cohen's pocket.
Not moving at all. It hasn't been moving very. Yep, absolutely. it's interesting how, so in something else I did mention, I'm not sure if you caught it or not when I was on Wiccans yesterday, that another selective coincidence, what is it? Too many coincidences in my case, it makes a scam, I think was what I used to say, was,
mm-hmm.
you know, how all along it's been, hi, Daniel Bashner. I was hoping you would pop in and say hi, buddy. But another thing I wanted to point out that kind of contradicts itself is, you remember how they were, you know, the amoral cast of questionable characters has been pushing this whatever story agenda that it was AD that was stalling everything. How is it that, if we recall now, the first couple years, first of all, they had to go back and restart everything after Claire got exposed. They had to restart their whole evidence collecting, right? Because Claire touched, you had said that a long time ago. Claire touched all that. But in the meantime, during that first couple of years, they were also directly, and I know Cassie's mentioned he forgot about this, but they were directly sending AD shakedown emails, letters demanding a settlement.
Yeah.
Well, if they were able to get letters and whatever emails, shakedown, pay up, scare tactics, shakedown letters sent to him, how come they couldn't serve him? They couldn't find him to serve him? Isn't that selectively convenient?
That's bullshit. When I mentioned the petition to claim, I know that. No, I heard you. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm still here. Okay, good.
Okay. There is a little bit of a lag. We have that. I still have that. I'm sure you still have that. I had wanted to pull that up.
Yep.
If
absolutely.
not, then I'll, and pull that up and go over it, because we never have. We've read parts of it and we've alluded to it, but we've never actually pulled it up. But so that way everybody can see very clearly that, one, I always found it strange that Yair Cohen wasn't on the bottom of that. It was another lawyer that signed that and sent that to the court on behalf of Frank Rzucek Jr. or on behalf of Yair Cohen. It's not Yair Cohen himself. But what they were asking for.
It was the barrister they had to hire. That's why it was the barrister they had to apparently hire.
That's what it was.
I don't know. Did that barrister? Yeah. So there's just never.
You broke up there. Can you repeat that, JC?
Am I gone again? I think so.
Well, I can hear you. So yeah, it was a different barrister that I knew, and I said that this morning on Wiccans, that there was a different barrister that signed off on that, and that was one that they had to hire because Yair Cohen wasn't equipped to be able to do that with the court. But everything in that, all of the instances of defamation and abuse or harassment or whatever they were laying against AD, all of the instances, and there were only a few, a majority of them centered around the comments that AD was making about the Crowd Justice Fund on his YouTube channel. It didn't have anything to do with anything. Because when all that shit happened with Claire Morgan, they did have to start all over again. And again, it was just a very few instances of what they claimed was abusive defamation and harassment. It was centered around the Crowd Justice Fund and the comments that AD was making. So when I saw this, and when we went through that together, we were both just fucking disgusted. One, that it centered around the Crowd Justice Fund. Yeah, we were both just fucking, it was disgusting. And remember that one line of defamations that they said he made? Oh, I think AD said, these are the friends that you have and what they're doing, or whatever it was. But the person he was actually talking about, he was talking about Martin Dehan. He wasn't talking about Frank Rzucek Jr. So they decontextualized it, making it seem like he was talking about Frank Rzucek Jr. But in actuality, he was referring to Martin Dehan. And I thought, you motherfucking piece of shit. That they're using that as an instance of defamation. He wasn't even talking about Frank Rzucek Jr. He was talking about Dehan. And that's just and then all of
the shady tactics. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, that's the shit that they were saying in this particular claim. So all of the work that everybody collectively did, especially collating any information and saying, Cohen Davis was thrown out, and that was. And that was one thing that we were all fucking worried about. Like, oh shit, if she's not really a lawyer, is everything we're gonna have to start all over again? Well, yeah, it turns out that they did have to start all over again, and they had to wait 6 months.
Of course, didn't tell anybody, and it still has not admitted to any of that.
Yeah, they still haven't been transparent. Or can't get right, Mr. Sandman, as I call him. So collectively, all the information, but and at the end, this is what I found, and I mentioned it earlier, right? because I would always say, or if I questioned anything, Lizzie, about any of the numbers, which I always said were terribly overinflated, at the very end of that particular claim, when they're saying we want the past earnings and restitution for his Watts case content, we want, present and future earnings off of it. They weren't asking for it to be removed, but they obviously thought that he was raking in the cash, and maybe at one time he was, but it had been a long time since he had been. From, based on what, Lizzie's numbers? Isn't that a kick in the ass? Because
Yep.
they never asked for it to be removed. And if, Lizzie's numbers, which again, I say, are terribly overinflated, they were back then, and they certainly are now.
Pulled out of her ass.
Pulled
out of her absolute ass. She doesn't have any access to the actual official analytics of AD's Patreon. So anything she has to say, you can throw out the window because she doesn't have legit data statistics.
She never did. Like I always said, it was just an estimation. And again, that's why I said, there's a big difference with hypothesis and theory and fact, right? 2 + 2 = 4. Everybody's going to get that answer unless you really don't know math and you're bad at it, right? 2 + 2 = 4. But if you're coming up with a hypothesis, you might have a different fucking outcome. But when it's a fact, you're always going to have the same answer every single time. It's not going to deviate from the, it's not, there's no room for error for it. So it was always just a hypothesis. It was a theory. And I always thought it was terribly overinflated. But in the end, seeing numbers coming to play into that particular claim, wanting the money from his Watts content. So they didn't, that right there showed us that they never wanted AD removed from YouTube. Never.
Yeah, it wasn't about the money, right? It's about the justice. Why are they sending shakedown letters? If it was, it's shakedown letters. Only one, this will end it. We don't want mediation. We just want money. That's supposed to be, we don't want money. We want justice. No, that's ass backwards. And Kiss My Axe says here, and this is a perfect example of, kind of as I've said, the shady, underhanded, dodgy tactics. Very similar, like you were saying about Cohen Davis twisting what AD said. He was actually talking about Martin and twisted it into something that it wasn't. Kiss says here, Deep Shit and Deep Throat are good at that. Remember them editing, it was Martin editing Bam reading from a book and presented it like she was making death threats to that Leslie. But hey, they tell the truth. Yeah, exactly. Hi, Ella Bella.
Well, I'm so happy to
see you.
Hi,
You're
Ella.
out, Sam. Ella Bella's
Hi,
in.
Ella Bella. Well, then come up and get a link, Ella, and you can take my place. And you can pretend to be salty for a little while. The thing is that we have all seen years and years of decontextualized fucking screenshots and screen recordings and everything else from that fucking stalker. So
but
that didn't work out well.
Proof, remember? Right? The
same screenshots and all of that. I wish we knew that when we were collating all that information to begin with. Those don't count as proof unless you get them from the server themselves, which is in this case YouTube or /Google. But well,
I'm sure. I'm sure Mr. Cybersecurity for Facebook and Google, Martin, can probably get some backdoor access because he's like an IT expert and all and works for them.
And he's a stalker if he makes threats. Yeah.
Career
I would
stalker.
hate to think if he was actually a fucking IT, if he was an actual IT person or knew anything at all, the damage that he actually could cause. That scares me when I think about it. Because and again, he says he's working for Frank Rzucek Jr., so go figure.
Martin said it. Martin has said it, and I think that's it. It might be in both of those videos, but the one he did dirty delete, he literally has a screenshot, but I guess it doesn't count, Martin, when it has to do with you. When it applies to you, that he says he works for Frankie. So, and unfortunately, Frankie's done himself no justice whatsoever, for lack of a better term.
I would say
making sure he has separated from those people.
This is the thing, though, Jen, and I said this on Wiccan's live stream earlier. All it took was a little fucking accountability and some balls, right? To come out here and tell these people to stop fucking stalking and harassing and abusing and doxing and going real life on people when they're saying they're doing it under the umbrella of the Rzucek genuine meat writers. We're the genuine support and meat writers over here. All it took was for him to come out and answer some questions and tell them to even just fucking stop doing what you're doing. Leave my name out of your mouth. Don't put hashtag Rzucek strong or anything on the end of that shit, because that effectively means that he was co-signing all of their fuckery, right? That's all it took was a little fucking accountability and some fucking balls.
Yeah.
So when it
Claire
comes down
laughed
to
at
it, what
you.
you're telling me, when they're saying how the remedies or the restitution and all of that, oh shit, no, you don't want to have Frank Rzucek Jr. has never answered a fucking question when it comes to the questions that we've had. He's never answered them. Do you really think that he's going to do so under oath when it comes to Claire Morgan?
Well, yeah. Well, unfortunately, I mean, I again had internal documents and so forth had to be produced. It would have all been in there too. So I mean, I'm not even gonna go there and speculate what he may or may not have done, because actually I'm gonna just quickly segue. That brings us to the latest update. So for those, I know Ella and Daniel just sort of showed up. So long story short, I'll quickly just give the Coles notes. On July 27th, July 17th last week, Mr. Justice Nicklin had written in or made an order. There was a written order made that the remedies hearing that was supposed to happen on Thursday is canceled / postponed. And the reason for that is because there was a claim submitted by Cohen Davis and the claimant for exemplary damages. And in this written order that has canceled / postponed the remedies hearing that was supposed to, right, while so AD's trying to seek an appeal. So while AD's trying to worm his way through this appeal process, the remedies hearings are on hold. I guess I'll use the term on hold. Now, in this same written order dated last week, July 17th, Mr. Justice Nicklin said, if the claim for exemplary damages is to be pursued, then the defendant is entitled to defend himself against a claim for said remedy. Now, one last time, exemplary damage cost requests are the most extreme and punitive form of damages a civil court can award. A claim like this must depend on proving outrageous / extreme content or conduct or malicious
Mm-hmm.
intent. So in order for
Mm-hmm.
this to have been supported, the claimant and or solicitors would have had to hand over key documents, be cross-examined under oath about the claimant's behavior, fundraising, and Claire Morgan, for example. Now,
Yeah.
subsequently, since that, there has
You're breaking out, JC. Just wait till you come back and then finish reading what you're reading and saying what you're saying. Hello?
Cohen Davis to
Babe. Okay, you were breaking out, so can you
this just
go back a
happened
little bit?
days after the judge confirmed that AD had a right to defend himself if that.
Again, we're experiencing some technical difficulties up here with genetic code and that. So she will repeat all of that, what she was saying, when she comes back momentarily, which should be in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or not. Okay. So I will fill in the gaps here. So, from what I understand, exemplary damages means that the most egregious form of defamation and harassment and all of this other stuff that the AD would have caused Frank Rzucek Jr. over the years, or during his time on YouTube and all the things that he said, would have been so catastrophic to his mental health and everything else. It would have awarded him and given him huge amount of fucking money. Which obviously the judge says in this case, if that's what you're asking for, he's going to have to be able to put on a defense, which means that you're going to have to come under oath and answer some questions about your funding for this lawsuit, about people like Claire Morgan, and uh, pathological psychopathic stalking liars like Martin Dehan, etc., etc. All the other genuine Rusek meat writers, as I refer to them now, because there's nothing supportive about what y'all are doing. And isn't that a kick in the ass, knowing that he can't get up and answer some questions because of dickheads like you? Because y'all have fucked things up so catastrophically and done some shady, nasty, ugly, gross, just diabolical shit that if they wanted to go forward and pursue it financially in that way, that they would have to answer some questions. And those are questions that they don't want to answer. And let's face it, he has never answered any hard questions. He's not going to want to do it. I mean, that's just not something he's going to ever do. Let me see if I can
Oh,
Oh, what
did
the
I just?
hell?
Sorry, I kicked you off by mistake.
I was wondering. I was trying to turn on my damn camera, and I thought I kicked myself out. So you're a heifer. I was trying to fill in the blank and fill in the space
So,
after you dropped
so
because I was telling everybody that you were breaking up. So go ahead and start all
all
over.
right. So where did I start breaking up at?
You were breaking up at about the part where the remedy, and it has to be absolutely catastrophic to get those kind of exemplary damages.
Yeah. So okay, I'm not really sure where I was, but essentially, what has now happened? The most recent update is after. So basically, a few days just after the judge. So a few hours after I posted that first update about the judge confirming that AD in his written order. What are you doing? Anyway,
Oh
before
no,
the
I was
judge.
trying. I was There you go.
Oh,
Here's your mascot.
bunny.
Okay,
Oh,
there's your
my mask
mascot.
cat, my mask cat, Suki. Anyways,
Your
so
mascot.
the most the most recent
Oh, stop.
update is since it would have been had this pursuing of the exemplary damages claim would have involved the claimant and the solicitors disclosing internal communications justifying public fundraising. Frankie himself might, likely have been cross-examined under oath, which would have included the conduct of those involved in his legal and fundraising campaign. What
Yeah.
has now happened since is Cohen Davis. Hey, Tamara, so good to see you, buddy. What had up
Hey,
my
Tamara.
initial post, that AD does have his right to defend his claim, which again shows that if AD had been found proven to be liable for defamation and harassment, there would be no
Yeah.
basis for him to need to defend a claim for exemplary costs. So good to see
Yeah.
you, Tamara. I have a bad connection, so I'm trying to work with this. I'm talking to Tamara, my friend Tamara, not you, Sam.
I can say hi to Tamara. Hi, Tamara. This is the fourth
Anyways,
time
the
I'm saying hi,
update.
Tamara. Yes.
So, anyways, the update is Cohen Davis has now withdrawn the claim for exemplary damages. They might be. What do you think, Sam?
Can you repeat that last part because you kind of broke out?
Oh, of course. So basically Cohen Davis has withdrawn the claim for exemplary damages. Why do you think that might be, Sam?
Because if they were going to continue with the claim for exemplary damages, some questions would be asked. And considering that there's never been some accountability and forthrightness and transparency with Frank Rzucek Jr. or Yair Cohen, much less Yair Cohen, they would have to answer some hard questions, and it would be catastrophic for their case completely. That's my opinion. And I'm not a pretend lawyer
That's
on
my
YouTube,
opinion as
so
well.
there you go.
Well, like I said, I kind of made a statement yesterday, and I want to quickly make it again because I feel I must repeat this, especially for all the unwelcome and unwanted stuck in the peanut gallery. So just to be very crystal clear, and most importantly, to correct the dopey delves, the fake as fuck chops, the Martin Goblin D hands, the scissor, lies be told, cartoon loons that like to twist and contort facts and manipulate the narratives being put out by that amoral cast of questionable characters. I have never been Team AD now. As we know, I very much supported Claimant until I found I could no longer support the shockingly unsupportable, and my refusal to slavishly.
Last part I heard was slavishly.
Coming from, but I have been made out to be a horrible, bad person for asking those uncomfortable questions. But if we use some serious discernment, if everything has slavishly, so my refusal to slavishly defend and carry on white knighting.
Oh yeah.
So if we use serious, if we.
Okay, so she's cutting in and out. Her connection is bad, guys. I apologize. She'll apologize again. But yes, You cannot, at one point, it became absolutely insupportable. And I remember saying that a very long time ago. I can't support the idea of going after somebody that's lying on YouTube when we're surrounded by a bunch of fucking liars. And I stopped effectively in November. By the end of 2021, I was done. And I did come back out and I
Am I
did
here?
talk. There you are. Now you're here. You're here again. You were saying, when I said that to you a very long time ago, you cannot support the insupportable.
This is
It
getting
gets
bad.
to a
So
point where you just
can
can't
you hear
support it
me?
anymore. And any support given is freely and can be freely withdrawn at any fucking time. Okay, as we've all proven. As there are people that have flip flopped back and forth, and I said it earlier, she's never supported fucking AD ever. But the principle is that what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. And those that continue to white knight for or meet right Frank Rzucek Jr. and his family, about this lawsuit, their hatred for AD is greater than their integrity for the truth and just to see justice play itself out in the courts of the way it should be, as opposed to stalking and doxing and going real life on people and harassing people and abusing people and just flat out fucking lying, because under the umbrella of hashtag Rzucek support whatever, it's just a fucking farce. It's a farce.
Well,
and I
and then
hope
let's take into
in
consideration.
my
Let's take into consideration also the cackling witches from all hate who condemn the behavior of AD, but are producing and exhibiting the even far worse behavior going after Madeleine McCann's parents. They do the exact same thing, far worse than AD has, yet they want to call AD out. Get out of here with that bullshit.
Well, and I'll go back to what I said several times a long time ago, that if I knew that they were anti-AD because of going back to the McCann days, their motives for being in this quote unquote community were different than mine. They had a thing against AD long before he ever started talking about the Watts case. I didn't know that. I wish I had known that. And at the same time, you had trolls like Tigsy and Dehan and Linda Kingsland, right? That were on the periphery. And we were stuck in the middle of it. People like me, JC, Preach, Arm Hair Defective, Audi, Truth Justice, even Undercover Mother to a certain extent, those channels back in the day, the quote unquote true channels. So we were stuck in that place where, and we didn't know it at the time. Subsequently, we came to, find out about it. And then along comes Rzucek, and he used that support or anti-AD sentiment that he already had a built-in support base. I'm not going to say fan. I was about to say fan base, but that sounds so tacky and gross. But they already had that support because there were people that were speaking out against AD. Am I still here? Yes, I'm still here. JC dropped again. Oh, wow, this is like taking me back. I'm having flashbacks of live streams past. But I don't believe, and see, that's just it. When it comes out to asking questions, then you're a bad person, right? We have to be quiet. We can't ask questions about a fucking lawsuit. You have to be quiet when it comes to, you don't talk about
Lord in heaven.
publicly. So they had excuse after excuse after excuse not to say anything. And it was people like me and JC and all of us to begin with. We don't say anything. We don't say anything about Frank Rzucek's arrest record. We don't say anything about the lies that they've told publicly that have been acknowledged privately, but we never ever do it publicly, right? So they're not going to do the same. They're not ever going to do that. He's never going to do that, ever. So he's not going to do it under oath.
Well, yeah, you're right. But sorry, and I don't know if I got cut off. I probably did. Like I said, I have been. I mean, we all have been. We all have been. But in this instance, I'm not just trying to make it about me, but I'm just speaking about me right now. But this is a collective. We've all collectively been made out to be bad people for asking uncomfortable questions. But here's my thing. Let's use some serious discernment here. If everything has been and was above board from the get-go and was on an even playing field, none of those questions would have been needed or should have been uncomfortable and would have been uncomfortable and should have been answered without any hesitation. The end by Jay.
If everything had been above board and there had been transparency and accountability, none of those questions would have been asked.
Well, that's what I said. None of those questions would have been needed, or if they had been, they shouldn't have been uncomfortable questions. Oh no, you're absolutely right. So, the whole thing has just been a complete shit show from day one, and yet they've continued. Again, like the whole we didn't know what the family knew about Claire, whether they were in on it. Now, I firmly believe they were well aware and helped facilitate all of it. But what did they do when Sam and I came out and fully exposed Claire? They doubled down and tripled down, both Mama Sandy and Frankie, and actually Frankie put out a post saying that Cohen Davis has verified that Claire Morgan is a solicitor before they even met her. Yet Cohen Davis is telling the Solicitors Regulation Authority they've never had any single type of association with her. So that, you know, just like Dopey Delve, you know, they both can't be true. It's one or the other. But they think that everybody is just so daft.
You know, when you know something, and
it's only AD that's ever been the most, you know, evil man in the world that is collectively making the family suffer. No other channel has ever done it. Only AD, even though he's been off YouTube now for what'll be 2 years in September, I guess.
It seems longer than that. It seems like a fucking eternity, right?
Oh my God, does it ever? It absolutely does.
And again, let's go back to that. They never asked in their particulars of claim for AD to be taken off of YouTube, to have his channel taken down, any of his channels, to have his Watts content taken down. They asked for the money from his Watts content library in the particulars of claim that was filed with the court in 2022. Not 2021, but in 2022. And they had to wait 6 months after all that shit with Claire happened. Everything was thrown out and they had to start all over again. And by this time, the only instances of defamation in the particulars of claim are claims or things that AD stated about the Crowd Justice Fund and the shit going around the Crowd Justice Fund. You know,
so again,
and the biggest part of all is
Cohen Davis.
Yeah.
Cohen Davis was retained at the end of August, very beginning, either the middle end of August or very beginning of September 2021. And then when all of those false copyright strikes completely failed, in October, then that's when Sam and I came out a few days later and
because Claire did a runner,
Claire out of the water after,
and he got his channel back. So, and that Sheila asked me that during Within's live stream. Do you think that Claire did that purposefully? Because, you know, why would she want AD off? Why would they want AD off if it was about the money? Did she fuck up the copyrights on purpose? And I said, no, it wasn't on purpose. She took what y'all had planned. You preach. Yeah, you, Claire, you preach, and Frank Rzucek Jr., you know, had this thing that y'all were going to pursue. And then I know that Claire was talking to Frank Rzucek Sr. about it, and she was doing that on his behalf. She started doing that shit from, you know, without, you know, the final plan in place, essentially. And it blew up in her face because she thought, I just have to do this. And his, you know, so many strikes, his channel's going to be taken down, right? Even though, and I remember her saying that's what they were doing. And I remember being in that chat and saying, but theoretically, he has so long before he even has to counterclaim. And then once you do the counterclaim, he has so long before he has to, you know, there's just so, you know, there's so much time. This can go on forever. So I didn't think it was a good idea. I didn't see it working out in the Rzucek's favor in the end, especially since his channel was at a certain amount of growth and they weren't just going to take him down just like that. But no, I don't think she fucked it up. Well, if you recall, too,
one of the
she fucked it up because she was a liar.
Oh, I think she did.
Go ahead.
I don't think she had. There was never any intentions. I don't personally. I mean, this is my personal speculation and opinion on this. I don't think that Claire ever had any intentions on following through with them ever. Because don't forget the whole IPO. Remember her cousin that happened to, you know, coincidentally work at the IPO office was going to be pushing through a default judgment. There we go with default judgments again. But this one obviously didn't exist.
Yeah.
Because there was the IPO office at that time. I don't know what the situation is now, but at that time I looked it up. The IPO office had nothing to do with copyright intellectual property of any sort.
Oh yeah. I mean, I really believe that Claire thought that once she struck him that many times that they were just going to stick and that his channel would be taken down. And that whatever happened about it being reinstated, it would have to, you know, be done on AD's end, not on, you know, Mr. Rzucek's, because she was filing those strikes against AD, don't forget, on behalf of Mr. Frank Rzucek Sr. So, you know, on his behalf, not on anybody else.
Yeah. What?
And so and that was one thing. But then, you know, she's like, shit, we have to remember where we saw in the drop down in the emails, more info needed. And she wasn't responding back
All of them.
saying, yes, this is our proof that
All of them.
we own the copyright in this. Yeah. So each one of those strikes was falling off. So I don't think she did it purposefully. She just got in over her head, and she was a fucking liar. At the end of the day, she's a fucking liar.
Wow.
So it came a bit,
regardless of
bit everybody in the ass.
Regardless of what the intent was, the family, unfortunately, this probably is not going to be popular, but I mean, I'm not tippy-toeing and walking on eggshells anymore. What happened has happened, and the family didn't do themselves any favor by doubling down and lying that Cohen Davis verified that Claire was a solicitor before they ever even talked to her. And then you have the solicitor himself, Cohen Davis, the solicitors themselves claiming they don't know who Claire is. They never assigned her any paid, unpaid duties. They never had any association.
Never association with Claire Morgan, but we have emails with you and Claire Morgan, Mr. Yerko, asking her if she knows what defamation is and what to look for when she's going through AD's videos. So we have that email from you to her. So come on, stop fucking lying. And no, I'm not walking on eggshells either. Principle is principle, and I stand on it. And you know what? I don't know who said it, but when you tell the truth, you don't have to go around telling people that you don't fucking lie, that I'm not a liar. You don't have to do that.
Yep.
So the fact of the matter is this. No, it's not. I have Miss Sandra Rzucek in Grimm's live stream saying that her son has never, ever, ever been in trouble with the law, that he's never been arrested. There's no mugshots of him from anywhere at any time, that he's never seen the back of a police car. I mean, I have her saying that during the Grimm live stream. So these people have publicly lied over and over and over again. Do you think that they're going to want to do it, or he's going to want to do it under oath?
No, I guess you're right. And you know what I think about it? I asked him, I don't know if you, for those in the chat, so I had explained how Frankie had decided to be very brave and show himself under my channel, of course, laughing, thinking everything is a big joke. I directly asked him, and of course, there was no response whatsoever. I asked him, why did you mislead and dupe the public into donating based on AD's assertions that you have a criminal record, when in fact you do have a criminal record?
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, he never came back and responded to any of the comments. He thought he would show up, make a juvenile post, get all of the collective amoral cast of questionable characters to sign into all the alts and like his post. And like I said, it's so glaringly obvious that it's all the little leftover amoral cast of questionable characters, because what are the chances that, I mean, I'm a tiny channel, that within the first 2 hours of my post going, or Frankie replying to my post, 44 likes. Who the hell outside of anybody that's dealt with this teeny tiny, what used to be a so-called truther anti-AD community would know to come over and find Frankie's reply?
Those are Martin Dehan in all of his alts. Those are Tinksy and all of her alts. Linda and all of her alts. Those are all of her alts. That's fucking Fingal and all of her fucking alts. That's who those likes come from. Her. But you know what? For every one of those likes, go and give fucking £5 to his crowd justice fund. How about that?
And something else, speaking of that crowd justice, that was something else that Frankie never, well, I mean, not that he spoke up on anything other than everything was going swimmingly. Never once was anything, even after those comments were closed and shut down, after whoever it was, Val, Tinksy, Martin, whoever was guilty of making those malicious crowd justice comment donations. There was nothing.
Well, I know Grumpy Granny said that she made at least one of them under AD's name.
Yep, but there was no condemning any of that behavior from Frankie.
No, of course not. It's just silence. And see, again, that's what I said. We enabled that fucking silence because we knew. And I'm going to remind, in case he's listening right now, I remember being in that the Honor Shanann group when we were target mass reporting AD and other people's content on your behalf. And when Lenny Posner got your mugshot removed, right? And he put it up on that page. Frank Rzucek Jr. came tearing, his mother, Sandy, was in there. And she's like, why are you putting this up? And she was throwing out, raising all kinds of hell. And then here comes Frank Rzucek Jr. And Lenny Posner is saying, hey, look, it's out there. We know it exists. We had it removed. Some of the things removed, but he put it in that group. Okay. His mugshot. And there were no, did you forget about it? Well, I didn't forget about that. And I have screen recordings of that still. And of Sandra and Frank Rzucek Jr.'s comments to Lenny Posner underneath the picture of his fucking mugshot. Okay. So you can't lie about that shit. But we knew it existed. We knew what he did, but we weren't supposed to say anything. And we didn't say anything. And
And when we
in
ask those
some cases,
uncomfortable questions,
some
we're accused of
listen,
bullying.
you
Give
get
me a break.
yeah, and you get stonewalled. So again, I can say fuck you with that. Fuck off with that. Fuck all the way off. Because you and your mother were in there asking Lenny why he put that in there. Because why? You were really upset because who was in that group by that time? The fake doctor
Doctor,
was in
fake,
there, and
yep,
Mama Bear was in. Dr. B was in there, and Mama
fake
Bear
ass
was in
twat.
there, and her sister was in there. All of those people were in that honor network, the Honor Shanann network group by that point. And you were pissed off that he put that in there because they were in there and you didn't want them to see it.
Yep,
Because
yep.
Lenny
And I
Posner
got
supposedly got it removed from offline. That's why they threw, and they
yeah.
threw a
So don't
fucking
tell.
fit. So let's go ahead, babe.
I'm just agreeing. No, I'm just agreeing with you.
You forgot about that already, but I didn't, and I
I
won't ever forget
I
shit
did.
like that. And that's the shit that matters. I've never said that publicly before, but I'm saying it publicly now. They went tearing into that group, raising hell about them putting that mugshot, and it was Lenny Posner who started the Honor Network, right? There was an offshoot called Honor Shanann or Shanann Honor Net, whatever it was, and that's where they were putting in the links and stuff for us to mass report, blah 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 blah, et cetera, et cetera. And when
Wasn't
in
it just
Lenny
the Honor
Posner's
Network,
group was responsible,
HONR?
yes, it was. But then and then they did the secondary group, which was under the Honor Shanann, because they were mass reporting ADs and other people's channels. And of course, one of the people he brought in because Lenny Posner said, no, we have to be transparent to everybody, and that means everybody. So they allowed Dr. B and her mods, including Mama Bear and her sister and all of that, to come in, and they were on that page. But he's the one that got
Fake
that
ass
removed.
whack.
He got the mugshot removed from online, okay, and got the arrest records removed from online. So it ends up, and he put it on that page, and they came tearing in there, raising hell, Frank Rzucek Jr. and his mother, because he put it on there, and because Dr. B now and all of them would see it and have access to it. And he took, he was
Yep.
really, really pissed off. There was no denials about it. There was no, this doesn't exist. You know, I never,
Just
I never ever
unhappiness it
thought that
was
I would
out there.
see them. Yes, I never thought I would see them years ahead or a couple of years down the line or a year and a half, 2 years down the line saying we've never, just flat out lying about it, saying that doesn't exist. She actually said that on a Grim live stream. You'll never see a mugshot of my son, ever. Yeah, because she knew it had been removed online, but it was still floating around because of Lenny Posner. She
Hi,
was
Joe
able
Madre.
to say that, so emphatically because she knew that he fucking had it removed from online, but it still existed because of the shares, from Lenny Posner and the Honor Shanann network, and Dr. B and everybody, and all of us had access to it. So, but that you talk about doubling down.
Well,
So
and
here
let's
I
just be
am,
clear.
and I.
Let's just be clear about one thing, because again, this could have all been dealt with differently, but at the end of the day, it's not, and this is where we are. I want to be very clear. Frankie does have has a criminal record. This
Mhm.
stems and I've said this many times. In my opinion, I believe that this arrest or this criminal record stems from a plea deal. So the arrest record is for the offense date of October 31st, 2015. If you take a look at the arrest warrant for his child abuse, it's the same offense date, October 31st, 2015. I think what happened is
Mhm.
the criminal conviction was a plea deal reached where he pled guilty to contributing to the delinquency of a minor, not child abuse. And
Mhm.
I put under my CP, somebody had mentioned something about him having under that Frankie actually thread that's under my, not my most current, but the one I did earlier yesterday. I have the link to the
Mhm.
North Carolina Department of Corrections that shows his criminal conviction. And then there's a
Yes.
link to the BitChute website where I personally believe it was probably Tinksy or Linda that uploaded the actual arrest record. Maybe not. I could be very
Yes.
wrong on that one. But anyways, the arrest record,
It was probably
you can
Linda.
take a look. You can take a look at the offense date on the arrest record, and it matches completely with the exact same date of October 31st, 2015 on the criminal conviction. I have to mute you for 2 minutes. Take over. I will be back.
Okay, and I will say this emphatically and as salty as I can. I don't give a fuck about an arrest record, what you were arrested for, what you pled down to, if it was a felony, a fucking misdemeanor, if you paid a fine or you worked it off on the side of the road by picking up fucking garbage. What I care about is the fact that you lied about it. You lied about it. You lied about it. That's what I care about. So again, people are going to ignore the substance of the conversation and the subject at hand here. It's not about an arrest record. It's about the fact that he lied about having one, right? That's what it's about. And I remember that again in the Honor Shanann Network group, we were getting the links to Mass Report AD and all the other channels. When Lenny Posner put that picture of your mugshot and your arrest record in there, your mother was raising hell about why you put it up, and then you came tearing in there, Frank Rzucek Jr., asking, why would you do that? Why would you do that? You had it removed. Why are you putting it here so Dr. B and everybody can see it? There were no denials about it. There were no, oh, that's not me. There was no, oh, that picture is a fake. That was my twin brother or my evil cousin. There was nothing like that. It was, oh my gosh, why are you putting that in here so Dr. B and Mama Bear and all of them can see it? So imagine my surprise and shock when we're all cried about it. We never acknowledged it. Anytime AD would mention it or somebody on that side, quote unquote, would mention it, we would just fucking ignore it, right? Some people would double down and say that never happened. But a majority of us were just quiet. And that, unfortunately, was the fucking environment that we bred. We don't say nothing. We just keep our mouth shut and continue with the fucking anti-AD content or anti-Dr. B content or whatever. Insert whatever other channel here. The fact of the matter is that I never cared, and none of us ever cared about the fact that he was arrested or what anything like that happened. What I cared about was that he fucking lied about
lying. Exactly.
He lied about it. And he lied about a lot of fucking things. And y'all, who are the genuine fucking Rzucek meat writers, are lying about people still on his behalf because you have nothing else to do at all other than make fucking sanctimonious community posts about how you're a truth teller and you've never done. Oh gosh, people believe me, I'm not a liar. Fuck you, yes, you're a liar. Well, especially when you call other people liars, you fucking hypocrite. Now I'm getting on a salty rant here. I kind of felt like I was on my own channel for a second there, JC.
My channel is your channel, baby. But let's not forget, this is where the good old Judge Judy adage is necessary. You don't need to have a good memory to tell the truth.
No, you don't. And it's never changed. The only thing that really, I think, after all this time, like I said, if he has publicly lied, right, when it comes like to the arrest record or to that mugshot or whatever, and he has doubled down on his claims or even tried to walk back on the shit with Claire Morgan, there is no way in fucking hell that he's going to go under oath and answer questions. The hard questions. Nobody answers the hard questions on this fucking on any social media platform. Do you really think that he's going to do it in fucking court?
I have to say, yeah, the more you're awfully convincing, but it's not going to happen anyway at the end of the day, because so for those that have just joined in and are not up to speed. So last week, July 17th, basically Cohen Davis had submitted a exemplary damages cost claim, which is basically the most extreme form of punitive damage that can be awarded in in a civil case. It's not criminal because he's never was going to jail. But anyways, that kind of claim is dependent upon proving outrageous extreme conduct or malicious intent. So in order for them to pursue this claim, this was submitted, this request for the exemplary damages costs. Judge Nicklin last week on July 17th basically stated if the claim for exemplary damages is to be pursued, then the defendant is entitled to defend himself against a claim for said remedy. So again, if AD had been found liable of actual defamation and harassment, this order by the judge saying the defendant is entitled to defend himself would not have been necessary because AD would have already attempted to defend himself. We know that didn't happen because it was a default judgment laid out that because AD's defense was entirely struck out. Anyway, subsequently, a few days after this written order that put the remedies hearing that was supposed to be this Thursday, that has been canceled. It's not happening. The whole thing is on hold while AD seeks an appeal. Sorry, I have a really loud person right by me. I'm sure you can probably hear, but anyways.
Okay. It's okay.
So what happened a few days after that was days after the judge confirmed AD has the right to defend himself, Cohen Davis completely withdrew their exemplary damages cost claim. They have decided to not proceed with it. And the reason being is had they continued with it, it would have been basically the claimant and Cohen Davis would have been required to hand over key documents. They may have been, Frankie may have been cross-examined under oath about his behavior, fundraising representations, and good old non-lawyering liar Claire Morgan. Obviously, they don't want any of that to get out. So that's why, in my opinion, I believe they fully pulled that exemplary cost. So for those that in the unwanted, unwelcome peanut gallery who have been yelling from the rafters that AD's assets are going to be seized, he's going to jail, he's going to be clapped in irons. Yeah, not happening.
And you know, in that says a lot to me because of all the fuckery that was perpetuated on his behalf by people like the Norwegian shit show Can't Get Right. You know, y'all are directly to blame for that shit. So a default judgment because he wasn't able to put on his defense or whatever. So win by default, okay, whatever, that's fine. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care. I'm glad that this is happening. I wish that they would have pursued it. So that way AD, you know, and whoever else could ask some, you know, questions, because that would have blown up in their face. That's why they dropped it, because it was going to blow up in their face and it would have been catastrophic. So that's probably the best move that Yer Cohen made.
Has done so far, exactly.
In my opinion. Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing. I know that people were asking questions and I was trying to pull up the chat before I got a little distracted there. I'm sorry.
You're good, baby.
Cassius, did Claire Morgan use the other CM's name?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe she ever. I don't think she ever. She never. Remember, she never had any credentials. I don't think, or did she? I don't know.
No. She never had any credentials. But he's saying, did she see the other Claire Morgan's name? Absolutely, she probably fucking did, and that's why she felt comfortable in saying that she was a lawyer.
Oh, I misunderstood.
Everybody else saw it. Why wouldn't she? Yeah. Everybody else ended up seeing the other Claire Morgan. Why wouldn't she have?
If memory serves me correctly, though, I believe that Claire Morgan had an E at the end of her name. At the end of Claire, there was something very minutely different about the spelling, but it was not the Claire Morgan, the non-lawyering liar that we have all come to know, that still has never showed her head, nor has that family ever provided any. It's like they've tried all of them, and this includes the Helen Schaefer's, the whole amoral cast of questionable characters over there. They've tried so desperately and deeply to memory hole Claire Morgan, and unfortunately, you can't memory hole the truth. It all happened. It doesn't matter how much of a bad person you want to say I am, Salty is, or we all are. We're not bad people. We were trying at the time to understand what was going on, and we were met with brick walls and, you know, being basically attacked for
silence and all of that. Yes, and uncomfortable questions that the genuine Rzucek meat writers that you know claim to be the genuine Rzucek meat writers were never involved in anything whatsoever. So conversations that were being had, they weren't being had with any of them. And we're talking about Frank Rzucek Jr. and his family and his parents that were having those conversations with us, right, at the time. Not with them. But I pulled up this, I went back an hour, and this Darzen said something. He said, AD has just as much right to compensation as Jr. after all the accusations that lot have thrown at him. The whole thing is disgusting. It's all about money, nothing but pure greed. Frank Rzucek Jr. was mandated by the court to give them his tax information, to his earnings, basically, you know, his income. He had to prove his income and how much he made or how much he didn't. And he didn't give them all of that tax information. I know that because as a fellow taxpayer, an actual taxpayer, an American taxpayer, somebody that has a paycheck and has taxes withdrawn from it, you know, your W-2 there, he didn't give them everything. But his main source of income listed on that information is YouTube. In case y'all didn't know that. His main source of income, he said, was YouTube.
And this is all after he said that,
AD's
you know,
job,
they've never, yeah.
They've
never made
AD's job was YouTube. And they never made any money. Yeah. So they're saying that AD,
do you recall me sending to you, Sam? There was a snippet. There was something after that came out. I can't remember what it was, and I don't have it in front of me. After that, it was after the particulars of Claim You, and I looked through. I sent you a couple snippets of things. One of them being that subsequently, after all of that, there was some sort of, I don't know, motion order. I don't know what the proper terminology is. I'm not pretending to try and be a pretend or a real lawyer on here, but do you remember, this will jog your memory when I say it. There was the instance where
your declaration of income.
Money. You know, Frankie never made a penny off the tragedy of his family. But remember, he was complaining that Frankie only had 10 paying members because of AD. Do you remember that? Do you remember that little snippet I sent you? So
Vaguely.
they're trying to sue AD because he claims that, you know, Frankie's making money off the family tragedy, but then in the same breath is trying to suggest that AD's prohibiting Frankie from being able to 10 members. He's got 44.7K subs, but he's only got 10 paying members. And never mind that his PayPal link is the first thing you see in the middle of his homepage of his channel. So once again, it can't be both. It has to be either or. Either you're not making money off the tragedy, or AD is prohibiting you from making money off the tragedy. It can't be both.
It can't be both. Which is it? Are you making money, or is AD effectively prohibiting you from doing that on a social media platform that he's no longer on? You know, okay, so my point I was trying to make there, and I got a little sidetracked, was that, you know, AD and his income and main income source was coming from social media, right? Let's just say in this example, it was YouTube. That ended effectively, especially when he lost his channel, and he lost all of the content that they were asking for future earnings on anyway. So that kind of bit them in the ass in the long run when YouTube decided to remove AD once and for all. It didn't come from Junior or his lawyers. But to claim that your income source is YouTube, that threw me. When I saw that, I thought, are you fucking serious? He's claiming as one of his income sources as YouTube. Are you fucking serious? So is he entitled to compensation? I can't say that. In theoretically, you know, in principle, I would like to say yes, absolutely. He lost his fucking channel because of all of this shit that was going on, but it was YouTube that removed him. It wasn't Frank Rzucek Jr., his family, or his lawyers. So I guess no, he wouldn't be able to. But you know what? It's interesting when you talk about exemplary damages and what that falls under, or what kind of things would have to be done or said that would allow them to seek exemplary damages. I would say a brick going through your fucking window would be one of them. But nothing like that has happened, other than to AD's old apartment where he used to live, and somebody thought that he was still there. You know, that's the kind of shit that would absolutely come up, and the questions that would be asked. The reverberations of the fuckery that people are perpetuated on behalf of him in pursuit of this lawsuit during the interim since it was filed in this ongoing fucking case, right? The collateral damage that has been amassed is astounding. And I'm one of those. And I love how people say, we're going to sue, I'm going to sue you, right? It just means what? Defamation. What you're saying isn't true. I remember Frank Rzucek Jr. saying that you and I were lying, JC, when we said that the SRA was contacted about Claire Morgan. He said, no, that's not true. Absolutely it was. It absolutely was true, but he called us liars. So is that defamation there? Could I sue him? Theoretically, yes.
Should we start a crowd justice? GoFundMe?
Do you have your PayPal and your Crowd Justice Fund linked up to your TikTok account or your Twitter, Frank Rzucek Jr.? Are you posting updates over there or answering questions on your page over there? Because you're not doing it here. You haven't for years. What did he say to you?
Who? I missed everything you said. I had to kick myself out and come back. What did who say to me?
What did he say to you, Frank Rzucek Jr.?
Who? Oh, his comment literally was, all it said was, this not true. Laughing my fucking ass off. You believe Alan? Ha, 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 ha. That was the comment.
Jesus Christ. You're a fucking childish dickhead.
He was right there. He was right there within probably the first 20 minutes of me posting that. So I don't have my reply to him up in front of me, but I basically started out by saying, I see you're hawkeyeing my channel, obviously. I said, why, you know, I said, glad to know everything is so funny for you. Why haven't you been transparent with your backers? Why, what else did I say? Why haven't you been transparent? Why weren't you upfront, straight up with them in regards to why the remedies hearing was postponed? You just said it was postponed with no reason. And Kelly the advocate, Tamara, that's who Cassius means. And then finally I said, why did you mislead and dupe people to dupe the public to donate based on AD's assertions you have a criminal record when in fact you do? And that's why I said it's been all crickets from him since.
So essentially, he decided that since you put up a post, that he would respond by saying, ha, 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 laughing my ass off.
And then,
That's
and then
it.
collectively
He wouldn't have
having
said shit.
the aim, and then having the, he wouldn't have said anything. There would have been, I guarantee, within my own opinion, we still haven't, he's put nothing up. There would have been no information provided about, of course he's not going to admit that Cohen Davis, you know, withdrew an exemplary damages cost claim. Of course not. None of this would be out here in public knowledge. I mean, you can see that on case board, you can see that there wasn't that order. So there was, as Helen Schaefer always liked to use the last case activity date change to mean it was always something negative about AD, that AD can't appeal. And again, that was the most stupidest thing you could have ever said, Helen, because you're going to be eating crow for a long time, and so is Dopey Dell. But anyways, my point is that day on July 17th, when case board showed the last case activity date, there was also an order filed by the judge, which that order was provided to me, which I put on my community post. So I'm not just talking out my ass, like obviously Frankie's trying to suggest. And that was the other thing I said to Frankie. I said, I tend to believe AD more than you. Sorry, not sorry.
You told him that?
Yeah, I did. Absolutely.
Well, the last time I spoke to him, he wasn't telling the truth. So, and I've never spoken to AD. AD's never lied to me personally, but you have, Frank Rzucek Jr. And you called us a liar. You called us liars when we said that the SRA had been contacted because of the Claire Morgan. You said, that's not true. You're lying. You called us liars. And I told you a long time ago to suck my dick, and I'll tell you again, suck my dick. Saying that we lied about that.
What? You're right,
if we were lying about it, then your SRA complaint video wouldn't have been put up, right? And it wouldn't have been removed by Cohen Davis.
Well, and here's the funny thing. I mentioned this on Wickens yesterday. I mean, it's not funny, but I mean, what else can you do but laugh at it at this point? This big so-called precedent-setting defamation law firm in the UK accuses a woman in Canada of bullying them. That's why the video was removed. And my two subsequent community posts. Isn't that just rich? Right? This big, self-professed precedent-setting defamation law firm accuses a woman in Canada who's literally just put out what has happened and is accused of bullying them so they can get the video removed. Because at the end of the day, the reason that video was removed, and I mean, you might have removed it off my channel, that video is still out there available online. They also subsequently had, because I remember I re-uploaded it to my Google Drive. It's also out there, but it's my Google Drive. So you can silence me all you want. It's not going to work. The truth will always prevail.
Yeah, it's on Reddit. It's got thousands and thousands and thousands of views. So
like 9,000 views. Yeah,
know.
And that's why I say there was no way that it took them 2 years. They claimed to want to take credit for having AD removed, but it took them 2 years. But they certainly had no problem removing one of my videos within the 2 days it was posted.
And if you wanted AD removed and his content removed, why were you asking for the income made off of his Watts content library or his Watts library content? That's what I want to know. And your particular claim, because that's what you very clearly stated that you wanted. And in the public apology.
Not trying to be unfeeling, but why wouldn't, if he was causing such grief and suffering, why wouldn't you have just had him removed from the get-go?
Yeah.
Well, we know why. That's obviously a rhetorical question, because they wanted to collect all the money he was making.
Yeah. So I'll go back to that, just because I chose to, and I said that even just to Cheryl, believe it or not. I said everything's supportable, because you get to a point where it's insupportable, and this is insupportable in me a very long time ago. So, and that was long before AD's channel was removed, long before anything. That was in 2021. I mean, it was insupportable. So
And no,
on the
everybody
basis
has
of
the right.
how can you
Everyone
to
Everyone
withdraw
has the
support?
right to withdraw their support for any reason they deem at any point, and they don't need to justify themselves. And the fact that we were, as you know, well, Lisa has said here, we were labeled as evil, horrible people. We're bullying Frankie. No, asking uncomfortable questions that should have never needed to be asked, or should have had been uncomfortable if they were asked. They should have been met with no hesitation answers, and they weren't. But trying to switch it around because we did ask those uncomfortable questions, that I'm a bad person, Salty's evil, we're all evil, we're just the worst trolls in the world. Yeah, look at the source it's coming
Evil.
from.
I'm a liar. I mean, I was saying the collateral damage that has
Angry
been
and
amassed.
shouty.
Angry, shouty Jen.
Angry,
Chewbacca. Oh
shouty
my
Jen.
God. The collateral damage that has been amassed, ensued by the Rzucek meat writers, right? They, the threats, going real life, the doxing, the constant attacks, personal attacks, on your sexuality, on your looks, on your domestic violence, even. You talk about victimization or victimizing somebody's victimization. It's just fucking gross. At the end of the day, it's fucking gross, and that's not supportable. So if I've come out and said anything since 2021, it's consistently been about the fucking bullshit and fuckery perpetuated by those people on behalf of who they say they're working for Frank Rzucek Jr. And
Yep,
he's
and I'm
well
going to
aware of this
segue.
shit. And Mrs. Rzucek is aware of it when she says, "Stop tagging me." Okay.
Yeah, sorry, no. Sorry, there is a bit of a lag. So, hi, Energy Orchard. I just posted this person's comment. I want to know why Dehan wanted a picture of AD's mother's grave, and what does any of his supporters think of that kind of intrusion? Are they comfortable about that, Helen? It's beyond disgusting. Well, I know, Energy Orchard. You're never going to get any answers. They're going to pretend that their shit don't stink. But I'm going to be leaving this up for a bit because all of the stuff that Dehan, Helen, all of their conduct and behavior has been nothing but abhorrent, rotten, and just absolutely appalling and atrocious, unforgivable, indefensible, and just downright sinister. And hopefully it's now over.
And it was like that though before this shit happened. He was doing this shit online for more than 15 years now. So he was doing this shit long before AD came into his fucking environment and his atmosphere. Okay, people? He just latched on to the idea, oh, I'm going to go into this cause with these other people. Again, anti-AD, going back to the McCann days. Shit that I didn't know existed. I didn't know personal beefs and fucking these toothless trolls were going to inhabit our atmosphere, JC. And it was unfortunate that they fucking did. But it all got so convoluted, right? That now when you can't support the insupportable anymore and you're calling out and saying the hard fucking truths, right? Then you get castigated and then you're being victimized by people that are calling you liars and you're evil and you're this and you're that. And what? Oh, you support
and
Alan now?
digging into your private life.
Digging into your private life, talking about your sexuality. Yes, digging into your private life,
running
around sexuality.
Running around behind the scenes, trying to leave voice clips, trying to collect everybody in the kitchen sink to go against me, right, Cartoon Loon and Adara?
Exactly. And you know what?
JC.
You forfeit your right to get onto any type of soapbox a long fucking time ago when you did not decide to publicly condemn those that are being consistently attacked using the same tactics that they used against BAM 16 fucking years ago, 15 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
The same post.
You've seen the same fucking post. You're just gross. And I don't give a fuck. You can get up there and pretend and say whatever. But you're just one of the ones with the slow golf clap, lady. You and a few others. And you're behind the scenes constantly trying to fucking recruit people on your anti-JC, anti-this, pro what? Rzucek meat writing? Is that what it is? You're not a supporter. You're a fucking meat writer. That's what you are.
She's two-faced.
You don't care about the truth.
She's two-faced
Jesus
because
Christ.
publicly she presents herself love, light, nothing but kindness, and then there she is backstage, sneaking around behind the scenes, sneaking around,
do you
contacting everybody in the kitchen sink to hate me.
I'm going to be very emphatically clear here. Okay, you can write the same thing over and over and over and over again in one paragraph or 20. Everybody knows it's bullshit. And the only people that you're catering to by writing the same thing over and over and over and over again are the same people that you're talking to in the same groups and the same chats, one-on-one or en masse, the same 4 or 5 fucking people. You're ridiculous. And you're one of the reasons why Yer Cohen and Frank Rzucek Jr. dropped their pursuit of exemplary damages, because there's no way in fuck that they would get them. And if all of this does backfire, if everything else does backfire, and I hope he does and this appeal does go through, just on principle alone, I hope it fucks them up the ass so royally, that would be karma. And it's because of you. It's because
Give me 2 minutes. I'm muting.
And people,
I'm here, but I'm muting.
And people like Dehan. It's people like you and people like Dehan that y'all are the sole reason why there's no way in fuck that AD could ask any questions to Frank Rzucek Jr. or any questions in the court to Yer Cohen. There's no fucking way, because of people like you and the shit that y'all have perpetuated the last couple of years in surrounding the Crowd Justice Fund, all of the malicious donations, all of the fuckery, all of the stalking, all of the doxing, all of the going real life, taking people's fucking personal photos, right? Sexualizing them online, put it however way you want. All of the fuckery, the collateral damage that y'all have caused, the direct reason that they dropped that pursuit for damages, because there's no fucking way in hell that they could be questioned. Do you really think, again, that Frank Rzucek Jr. would, under oath, answer some hard fucking questions? And I remember in that particular claim now that's coming back to me, he lied in that. There were so many lies in that. I would love to have that dissected in a court, in an actual court. Jesus Christ, I wish JC had it pulled up so we could pull it up and read it off to all of you. All of you could see the bullshit that was in it. Ha, 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 ha. Laughing my ass off. Laughy emoji. I'm glad you think this is funny. All of the money that people gave you, it's just a joke. All of the bullshit that people like Dehan that have done on your behalf, Frank Rzucek, is that funny? Is it just a fucking joke? Was it a complete waste of time? Is it all just bullshit? To a few people, it's not. And those are the people that won't ever fucking stop because they're that obsessed. And they say they're doing it on your behalf, which is just fucking psychotic. Absolutely fucking psychotic. You couldn't ever answer my goddamn questions in the aftermath of all that shit with Claire. You're not going to answer my questions now. You sure as shit don't answer any of their questions. You don't even talk to those fucking psychotic stalkers. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, you started to say, I rudely interrupted you, not intentionally, but you started to say something about, I don't know, a certain person tagging a certain someone who still doesn't get the hint and still can't shut up about the family. What was that you were going to say?
How delusional do you have to be to say that you're doing this, again, genuine Rzucek meat writers, and they're asking you, they told you, stop tagging him. Do you really think that they talked to them? Do you really think they're in communication? They don't have nothing to do with these fucking psychotic stalkers. They're nothing but a goddamn detriment to their cause. Again, a direct reason why exemplary damages are not being pursued. Y'all have fucked it. And that's karma. I love the fact, I love it for us. I love it for us that we are now seeing this shit playing out. All of the fuckery that y'all have caused, that y'all have done, literally is coming to bite y'all in the ass right now. Or actually, it's biting Frank Rzucek Jr. and his lawyer in the ass right now.
And how long have we been saying that amoral cast of questionable cast of characters was not in it to help Frankie at all? I mean, if that was the case, they would have never, ever, ever made one of those malicious crowd justice comments ever.
How long have we been saying? How long have we been saying? How long have I been saying? Let the fucking court play out the way it's supposed. Let the chips fall where they may, and let it play out the way it's supposed to. Because y'all are not doing anything to help that guy. You're not doing anything to help him, and he did nothing to help himself. And again, I hope it fucks you up the ass royally.
That's all they're doing is continuing to further damage this whole thing. So I hope you guys are real proud of yourself. You couldn't help yourselves, and you just couldn't stop.
And see, this is where my
smug,
math is mathing.
sanctimonious,
Remember
know-it-all.
earlier? Yep. Remember earlier I said your math is math and 2 + 2 = 4. It doesn't matter how many times you have a different equation or a theory or whatever. The answer is always going to be 4, all right? 2 and 2 = 4 here, kids. So our math is pretty much mathing today. And it's not even it's not even, is it Wednesday? Because I can only math on Wednesday, or Tuesday. Well, maybe Thursdays. But my point being that you can't expect that all the bullshit and fuckery that has been perpetuated wasn't going to play out in the way that it's playing out. I wouldn't be surprised in the end, whatever appeal goes through. I don't know. I don't care. But I love it. I love the fact that they had to drop that pursuit of exemplary damages, because there's no way in fucking hell Frank Rzucek Jr. was going to answer some questions under oath. I mean, he lied in the particulars of claim. I remember that.
Or was
Cohen
Davis going to have to explain their conduct either?
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Cassius, get your shit together. Famous last
Tuesday?
words.
Me?
Get your shit. Just them in general. Them right now. Get your shit together, because it hasn't been together for a long time. The smug, sanctimonious, know-it-all, condescending attitudes on here, it's over. It's done.
Darzan said, imagine putting a call out for pictures of someone's grave. Absolutely no limits. No. And when he made the final threat to me, and that's when I said, no, this is not going to keep going on. It's not going to keep going on. This guy is a fucking pathological lying, psychopathic stalker. And that is what he has done. And that is the man who has said consistently that he's doing it on behalf of Frank Rzucek Jr., right? So you think about that for a second. Think about everything he has done under the umbrella of hashtag genuine Rzucek supporters. Rzucek strong, Rzucek. Even though Mrs. Rzucek has stopped tagging us in your shit, right? He still continued to do that. And he would double down and he would triple down in his fucking psychopathic behavior. And those that enable him, regardless of how many fucking paragraphs, 20 paragraph long diatribes you want to write, you know that shit is wrong. I want to see you publicly state that. Instead of publicly stating the same thing about how you don't get involved behind the scenes, you don't do anything, and you call out bad behavior when you see it, fuck you. I want to see you publicly state that you know that he's a fucking psychopathic, lying, doxing pig who has fucked this case up the ass. So in the end, if AD's appeal goes through, and I have every reason to believe that it's probably going to at this point, especially since they dropped the seeking exemplary damages, I want to see you publicly state that it's because of people like Martin Dehan. And you. I want to see that. I want to hear that from Frank Rzucek Jr. Not that it's ever going to happen. For fuck's sake.
Well, something else.
Sorry, I'm feeling salty.
No. Don't you ever apologize for being your salty self on my channel. Never. But something else I found very interesting. Of course, the myth know-it-all who feigns love, light, kindness. Why can't we all just be civil with each other while she's running around behind Facebook scenes, contacting everyone and in the kitchen sink, trying to get them all to hate me because I'm colluding or cohorts with BAM, which is a bullshit lie. I saw she had made some public statement that when it came to Frankie and the arrest record, that we've twisted it, but when it came to Claire Morgan, if it was her, she would have just walked away. I had some choice words for her on Wiccan's stream yesterday. She wasn't around. She was not talking with Claire and being shown portals in the whole 9 yards the whole time. So she's got no fucking clue what she's talking about. But imagine the nerve of that whack job to sit there and go, I would have just walked away. Well, la-di-da for you. Why don't you walk away now? Because you can't help yourself. I don't get involved. I'm always the first one there making my infinite scrolling posts. You're a liar, just like your besties.
Yeah, you are. You're just a fucking liar.
Now
and you try suing me for that, because you have lied. You have lied, and that's what I told you in that one comment I left. You lied. You're lying right now. Edit your comment, because you're flat out lying. All right, that's not defamation by stating the truth.
It's called the truth.
Oh, the truth. You can't bend the truth. You can't change the truth. And when you're telling the truth, your story never changes, sweetheart. It never changes. And you never have to make excuses for the truth either, do you? You don't have to make excuse after excuse after excuse for attacking people. Doing it on behalf of the Rzucek meat riding gang that y'all are. You have to make excuses for your fuckery. And this is where it leads you. This is just the first, this is just actually seeing it play out in court. That's why they dropped that
Yep.
pursuit of exemplary damages. There's no fucking way that they could answer questions. They didn't want those
All
questions
of it
being asked in a
come out.
courtroom.
Money. That's all.
It would
Exactly.
all come out.
Money, money, money,
Okay.
money.
So Tamara has a really good question here. I've got pinned. She said, what exactly did they think they were going to get from him in the form of example damages? He doesn't have anything. That's exactly it. We all know he's a chronic gambler. And this is where we've had, Tamara, as you know, the Chafers, et cetera, running around saying, oh, you know, he's hiding assets. He's a chronic gambler. He doesn't have any money. But putting that aside, it doesn't matter anymore anyway, because that most extreme form of punitive damages that a court can award isn't happening because they've withdrawn their exemplary damages claim. Because again, for those that are just joining and didn't understand, in order to pursue the exemplary damages claim, it all depends on the claimant. I mean, having to prove outrageous extreme conduct. I'm having a hard time between those words today, or malicious intent. To pursue the exemplary damages, the claimant would have likely had to have succumbed to, and his solicitors, disclosing of internal key communications documents justifying the public fundraising representations, i.e. AD's assertions that Frankie has a criminal record when in fact he does. And number three, Frankie himself may have been cross-examined under oath, which would have included questions regarding the conduct of those involved in his legal and fundraising campaign, i.e. Claire Morgan and others.
Yeah.
So they withdrew the exemplary charges or exemplary damages complaint, just like, I think within a couple days. So I'm not sure exactly what day. I found out a couple hours after I posted my first CP yesterday, and I've updated it. But that withdrawal of the exemplary damages claim came after the judge confirmed AD has every right to defend himself if that claim was to continue. And again, that takes all of the wind out of the fact that it was proven in a court of law via a trial that AD was found liable of defamation and harassment. No, he wasn't. A default judgment was laid down because AD's defense was procedurally struck out. The end.
Okay,
it's nothing else.
I'm going to ask you a question here. Okay, we're just going to talk about theoretically.
So
the first thing they're doing here is dropping the pursuit of exemplary damages. Okay,
correct.
So now AD is going to be appealing it.
Well, he's appealing his overall default judgment. That's what he's appealing, is the overall default judgment for his defense being struck out. So the whole default judgment for the entire civil claim is what AD is seeking the appeal for.
Okay, say that again. They're
okay. So the default judgment came down because Cohen Davis had AD's defense procedurally struck out. AD wants to appeal that default judgment. In the interim, because the remedies hearing, right? Technically, AD lost on this default judgment. There was supposed to be a remedies hearing on Thursday, 2 days from now. That's not happening. But in the interim of that remedies hearing, Cohen Davis submitted an exemplary damages cost claim. But now that the remedies hearing is on hold because AD is seeking appeal, the solicitors also realize if let's just say AD's denied an appeal, he does get an appeal and he loses. Let's just hypothetically say that at the end of all of this, AD has lost, right? They were looking, the solicitors were looking for this exemplary damages claim to be awarded. But they have since found out, because in the order that was put out last week on July 17th, that was putting the remedies hearing on hold because AD is trying to appeal the overall civil claim. It was also stated, because Cohen Davis wants to try to collect exemplary damages, in order for that claim to be pursued, Allen is entitled to defend himself against a claim for that exemplary damages remedy. But that would entail Frankie and the solicitors having to turn over key internal documents. Basically, it was this. So the striking out of AD's defense was not just, it was a tactic as far as I'm concerned. It was used to prevent scrutiny, avoid cross-examination, and silence AD's side. Because again, they didn't want to go to trial because the same information in defense that they don't want to come out regarding the exemplary damages would have come out if they'd actually gone to trial. But because the solicitors and Frankie could potentially be put under cross-examination under oath, they would have to justify the public fundraising representations and misrepresentations, and also disclosing key internal communications and documents. They have withdrawn that pursuit of the exemplary damages for the remedies hearing, if it even happened.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. So everybody, I know y'all can kind of see this. This is on my other device. I have the particulars of claim pulled out, just that way y'all can see it. Now this is.
I'm gonna remove myself so you can be bigger.
No. I'm not gonna. I don't want to pull it all the way up because it's going to be difficult for everybody to see. But I just wanted everybody to know that I'm going just to read a few things off of this. I keep moving it. I've got literally 3 devices in front of me. I'm going to be reading just a few things off of this, right? And I think that JC and I should do an actual dramatic reading of the whole thing. It's 24 pages long. But there are a few things in here that I want to address, that I want people to know that are in here. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm gonna go grab coffee while you do that.
This was signed, and I don't know if y'all can see this, but it's backwards for some reason. Oh, because I'm using my back-facing camera. This was signed by Frank Rzucek Jr. on March 10th, 2023. Okay. So I'm going to turn that off, and I just want to read a few things from it. Okay. Because you're talking about exemplary damages, and in here, and the claimant claims 1, damages including aggravated and exemplary damages for libel and harassment, an injunction to restrain the defendant, whether by himself, his servants, agents, or otherwise howsoever, from harassing the claimant and from publishing or causing or permitting to be published the words complained of or any words to the same or similar defamatory effect in respect to the claimant, right? And further relief. I am trying to find that. Okay, so injunction. Unless restrained by the court, the defendant will continue to harass the defendant. That doesn't make any sense. Unless restrained by the court, the defendant will continue to harass the defendant and publish the same or similar defamatory words of the claimant. In support of his claim for an injunction, the claimant will rely on the following facts and matters. 1, the defendant's ongoing publication of the publications complained of in the direct defamation and harassment said above. 2, and this is the most important thing, the defendant's defiant and hostile public response to the crowd justice page. Can you believe that? The defendant's defiant and hostile public response to the crowd justice page. The same hostile and defiant response that all of us have had for quite some fucking time, especially when they were making those malicious fucking donations in other people's name, including the love of my life, Cassius. Dicks.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, here it is.
What you just read.
The circumstances, the defendant made the publications complained of on the basis of a calculation as to the economic advantage to be gained by him from the publication, namely the financial benefit to be derived from them via income from the channel and the Patreon page, which outweighed the risk of the claimant bringing proceedings against him and the legal and financial risk of paying any or any substantial damages to the claimant in the event that any action by the claimant succeeded. This conduct on the part of the defendant gives rise to a right to exemplary damages on the part of the claimant. There's no exemplary damages when he doesn't have a fucking YouTube page, much less the Patreon associated with that YouTube channel anymore. The claimant will seek disclosure of the amount of profit made by the defendant from the gratuitous conduct complained of in these proceedings for the purposes of assessing the quantum of exemplary damages. So by that rationale, there wouldn't be any exemplary damages if he doesn't have any profit from his YouTube channel and his Patreon page that's associated with it. Right?
Well, he still has his Patreon.
Well, but associated with the YouTube channel. He doesn't anymore. It's on something else.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but this wasn't about money, everybody. It wasn't about money. It was purely about justice. Never mind the first 2 years of shakedown, pay up or else kind of emails or letters.
Y'all are going to love this. Are you ready? Due to individuals republishing the defendant's conspiracy theories involving the claimant and or contacting him directly as a result of those theories, the claimant is afraid to use his mobile phone as social media accounts, including the Facebook account set up for his business. He does not answer his phone to any numbers not already saved on his phone as identified contacts, which has inhibited his ability to carry out and develop his business. Fuck you, Frank Rzucek Jr.
When did he ever stop? When did he ever stop going online?
I love this here. Hold on.
Yep.
31.3.2, the defendant. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
The defendant's harassment and defamation of the claimant has made his day-to-day life unbearable and has led to him having suicidal thoughts and or receiving medical treatment for PTSD, depression, and anxiety. And I remember in your FBI interview, you already had PTSD and anxiety and depression, which is why you couldn't have a job. And you had insomnia. That was in your FBI interview long before AD ever came around. You fucking grifter. You're just as bad as he is.
Oh, and that's the other thing too. I don't know if you're going to read it. I just don't remember where it is in the claim. The whole other thing about Alan putting out Frankie's phone number, that technically was done by, I don't know if it was the CBI or the FBI. They did not redact the discovery properly. So Alan wasn't the, that was what was
they didn't discover that. But he would have already gotten a different phone number, I guess, because, you know, since that happened, but now he can't use his mobile phone because AD put out his phone number when he played that video of him from the FBI. I mean, the whole thing is so fucking it's just bullshit. I'm getting mad all over again reading just the parts that I'm reading.
But how many other channels that talk Watts nonstop use that same video? But funny, none of that affected the claimant at all. Isn't that fascinating?
I mean, you know what? Right now, y'all can go right this second. You can go to True Crime Rocket Science. Old Nick Manderleek himself is still putting up Watts content as of the last 24 hours. He put out like 2 or 3 fucking Watts videos over the last day. Right?
Oh, has he?
There are channels there. Yep, and there are channels now. There's some that said, "Oh, her new testimony shows that she was involved with the murders." You know, they're vilifying Nicole Kessinger on some of these fucking videos that they're putting out now. I mean, we're talking now, and I don't see any of you hypocritical motherfucking genuine Rzucek supporters over there saying, "Stop lying about that. Stop saying this. Stop saying that about her. Stop that." I don't see any of y'all hypocritical heifers over there. None of you.
Nope.
I don't see you in any of those goddamn comments, Frank Rzucek Jr. I don't see you in any of those fucking comments over there.
And never mind, some of those channels have millions of subs, like Behind Criminal Minds, Annie Elise, 10 to Life, millions of subs. How much money have they
Stephanie
made?
Harlow.
It's only AD that's the most evil man in the world and must be removed off all of social media. Do you guys realize how ridiculous you all look trying to talk that you're going to be able to have him removed off social media? It's absolutely ludicrous. And y'all look like absolute laughing stocks. You've made a mockery out of this whole thing.
Jesus Christ. That's why I said collateral damage. Either they dropped, so I have to think one of two things here. There's 2 possibilities why they dropped the exemplary damages. At the very bottom of this, it says, you know, we will be seeking these remedies, you know, exemplary and aggravated damages, including aggravated and exemplary for libel and harassment.
Well, we know why they withdrew it. We know exactly why they withdrew it.
It's either because he doesn't have his channel anymore, and as outlined in the particulars of the claim, it's all centered around his YouTube channel and the YouTube channel's Patreon memberships. Or 2, because they would have to answer some really hard fucking questions in court. And they didn't want to totally fuck themselves up the ass, let's be honest. So it's one of those 2 things.
Or maybe both. It could be a combination of both for all we know.
I like that. The claimant will seek disclosure of the amount of profit made by the defendant. Yeah. The claimant will seek disclosure of the amount of profit made by the defendant from the gratuitous conduct complained of in these proceedings for the purposes of assessing the quantum of exemplary damages.
But, you know,
to support his, here we go.
Okay, go ahead.
To support his claim, in support of his claim for exemplary damages, and this is 31.6. 31.6. In support of his claim for exemplary damages, the claimant will rely upon the following facts and matters. 31.6.1. The defendant knew or was reckless as to the falsity of the allegations made and the words complained of in defamation, and 2, knew or ought to have known of the harassing nature of his conduct towards the claimant. 31.6.2, the defendant was very familiar with the background to the Watts case, including the claimant's own background and employment history. As a result of this familiarity, the defendant knew that the claimant's usual place of residence is the United States of America, and that the claimant does not, in the ordinary course of his existence, have the resources or ability to pursue litigation over online publications against the defendant in a different jurisdiction. So 31.6.3, in these circumstances, the defendant made the publications complained of on the basis of a calculation to the economic advantage to be gained by him from the publications, namely the financial benefit to be derived from them via income from the channel and the Patreon page, which outweighed the risk of the claimant bringing proceedings against him and the legal and financial risk of paying any or all substantial damages to the claimant in the event that any action by the claimant succeeded. This conduct on the part of the defendant gives us rise to the right to exemplary damages on the part of the claimant. There's just so much in here. I really do think that we should stop this live stream, start a new one later, and just go over this particular claim so everybody can once and for all realize the fucking grifting that's been fucking perpetuated now for this many years. Because again, at the very end, I want to make it, this is what got me. Statement of truth. I believe that the facts stated in this particular claim are true. I understand that proceedings for contempt of court may be brought against anyone who makes or causes to be made a false statement in a document verified by a statement of truth without an honest belief in its truth. Signed, Frank Rzucek Jr., March 10, 2023. That didn't age well.
Wow. That whole statement is so explosive.
That didn't age well. This didn't age well. Now I'm going back through it. But the instances of defamation.
But I want to do a dramatic reading with that particular claim because it's now available. Don't forget, I mean, Sam and I have had, we've had those particulars of claims since what, September?
We've had them since 2023. We got him, I think, the summer of 2023, and it was filed in March. But I thought, how can that be? And everything that's stated within it, in the particulars of claim itself, that shows instances of defamation or harassment or libel or any of those things are surrounding pretty much the Crowd Justice Fund page. And everything that we collated, everything that Cohen Davis had, everything that we gave them, everything, all of it about Claire Morgan, everything, it predated, everything predate, let's just say Claire Morgan, all of it gone. This was 6 months after all of this shit with Claire Morgan came out. That's why I said, remember November of 2020, whatever. That's why I kept saying, everybody remember that. Because in March 2023, they filed this particular claim, and everything in it was after all of the shit with Claire Morgan, and it was around the Crowd Justice page. So I guess, when Wiccan said, what's going on with the Crowd Justice page, everything has to do with it at the end of the day, because most of his claims of defamation surround the stuff that AD said, right, about the Crowd Justice page. His openly defiant, hostile attitude towards it. When you got people like Grumpy Granny making fucking nasty and malicious donation in AD's name on it, literally, and he doesn't have a hostile or defiant attitude towards it, get the fuck out of here. See, again, that's where you fucked him up the ass. So and I saw this playing out, and I remember saying, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Then that they were fucking him up the ass.
Yes. I said, you don't realize what you're doing. When they're sitting here and when they say that, the basis of their case is in one of them, and I read it out loud just now, and I'll read it again later, his openly hostile and defendant attitude towards the Crowd Justice funding page, right? You had people literally making malicious donations in other people's names, including the fucking defendants. Right?
And bam.
I'm just saying defendant in this, yes, in a lot of different people's names. I'm specifically talking about AD here, the defendant's name, and writing all kinds of nasty, gross shit underneath those fucking donations. And those are people that are still saying that they're the genuine Rzucek supporters.
I tried to even be kind and quickly go past the one that was left for Frankie to try to spare him, but I was still, I'm still a bad person,
wanting accountability and transparency doesn't make you a bad fucking person. Stalking people and doxing them and going real life on them and saying that you're doing it on behalf of Frank Rzucek makes you a bad person. That's what makes you a bad fucking person. When you're threatening people and you're throwing all kinds of homophobic slurs at people, the misogyny, the stalking, the gross, all of it, that makes you a bad person. It makes you a fucking lunatic. It makes you a lunatic, and you're a dangerous, scary one at that. And y'all are all doing it, as you say, on behalf of Frank Rzucek Jr. in this lawsuit against AD. Well, step one is that you fucked them up the ass by all of your fuckery, because they're not seeking the exemplary damages anymore. Because there's no way in hell that Yerrick Cohen, especially, fuck Frank Rzucek Jr., right, going into court and answering questions. Yerrick Cohen would be answering questions, and that would really fuck him in the long run. He's not going to do that. He's not going to risk his fucking license and all of that on this fucking schmuck from North Carolina. Regardless, precedent setting my dick. This would have been over and done with. It would have been on all the front pages of the fucking papers. Oh my God. Murder victim's brother sues YouTuber, social media, this and that because of conspiracy theories or whatever the fuck. Put whatever kind of goddamn fucking headline in your head right now. That would have been a precedent, right?
I personally think one or a few of them collectively went around to the UK papers. And you and I, Sam, like I said yesterday on Wiccan Stream, you and I both know exactly. I know I've made, rhetorical sort of question comments in the past about, oh, how come they didn't sue Mensa? How come they didn't sue this one? All the ones that were in the US of A, there's a reason why they went after AD specifically. And Sam knows damn well, more than I even do as her neighbor to the north, is that First Amendment of freedom of speech in the USA. They would never, that family never would have been able to pull off suing anybody, any of these channels that are based in the USA that talks Chris Watts, because of the freedom of speech First Amendment right. That's why they did the backdoor, UK having the more strict libel laws, two-tiered, corrupt systems, corporations, etc. They kind of went through the back door, and that's why they went after AD. They would have never garnered any type of win from any of these channels in the USA.
Mm-hmm. No. They wouldn't have, and they haven't, and they won't. And prove me wrong on that one. No, prove me wrong by all means. I'm going through this and I'm looking at the very top, and I remember thinking, do they have to refile this particular claim, because all of it really surrounds his YouTube channel and his Watts content library. It no longer existed once his channel was gone. This particular claim, a majority of it ceased to be relevant anymore, because he didn't have his channel.
Yeah.
YouTube is the one that took him down. They used his channel, including all of these, URLs to the different videos. They're talking about he has 184 videos on it about this. As of March 10th, 2023, the channel has more than 79,100 subscribers. He has a Patreon page connected to his publications on his channel. The Patreon page, to be known as the Patreon page, different tiers of subscriptions to the Patreon page, explains to his supporters that MSM is selectively brainwashing us. I'm here to show the other side of power, money, and influence. So everything centered really around his YouTube channel and his Patreon page in conjunction with the YouTube channel, not just the Patreon itself, only the one that, associated with his YouTube channel. So when those cease to exist, a majority of this in the particulars claim ceased to be irrelevant anymore, right? That content no longer existed. It no longer existed. Once he lost his channel, it was gone. So I thought, and I remember talking to you about this, JC, saying, what's he? Are they going to do they have to go in refile a different particular claim now? Because that theoretically, and in reading this, and if y'all, hopefully we will read this to you. In reading this, everything's centered around that YouTube channel. So if they really wanted they never wanted his YouTube channel gone. They never wanted those videos taken down. They never wanted him removed, because all of it centered around the stuff on his YouTube channel and the money he was making. So
they wanted that to be their revenue source of compensation, even though it's not for money.
Yes.
It wasn't about money, everybody. It was only about justice as the day is long, it was only about justice, never money. Never mind, the first 2 years was relentless shakedown. And again, I said this earlier at the very
letter after letter after letter,
but they were able to find AD to serve him shakedown, scare tactics, pay up, or this isn't going away, pay up or else. But magically they couldn't find him to actually serve him. Get out of here.
Yeah, and then remember when they filed the motion to serve him via email, right? Remember that? They filed
The
that
same
motion to
email
serve
they
him in
were
his email?
the same email they would have already been conversing with him or sending shakedown emails and letters to, because I remember Alan showing a few of those on his streams.
Yep.
Like it just
Well,
doesn't.
I believe you on that.
They both can't be true. It's one or the other.
No, they can't.
And this has been the walking, talking contradiction of hypocrisy and double standards.
And y'all knew, and see, this is how you know that he didn't fucking talk to Dehan, because Dehan knew exactly where AD lived, as evidenced by a brick being thrown or a rock being thrown through AD's old apartment window. You know, y'all knew exactly where he lived.
Scott, have the police caught up with you regarding that brick yet? Maybe you should come out of hiding and go visit them with Daddy and your lawyer again, like you did when you were calling AD.
Do you have any information? Do you have any information on anybody that do you think that might have been who threw that shit through AD? Was it one of your subs, one of your mods, you perhaps? I don't know. Do you have any information on that? Asking for a hairy friend next to me up on panel.
And if anybody does and they, aren't comfortable contacting AD's email, my genetics@hotmail.com email is on my about section. Feel free to reach me. I would never reveal any sources or who it is, but if you're not comfortable with that, please reach out to me and I'll make sure to pass it along anonymously. So just throwing that out there. We don't need to spend too much time on that, but it's funny how that nasty, fragile ego fucking sociopath hasn't been around either. He's gone into hiding. He's hiding on Twitch, hasn't done a stream since the default judgment. I'm glad he's not around. But yeah, why don't you come out of hiding and go visit the police again there?
I just have to ask, is it worth it? Has it been worth it to have sunk so low to where you're making threats, typing out threats to people, culminating in that threat? And I'm going to repeat it again, since the love of my life just wrote it in your thing. It says, he said, I know where she's staying. Salty will be gone soon. Or no, she'll be gone soon. Gotcha, Salty. The only way he would have known any address that he had in conjunction with Cassius, it was a book that he bought during Frank Rzucek Jr.'s fucking telethon bidding war auction, whatever, live stream to benefit the Crowd Justice Fund, of all things, right? So she had an address to send this book to, Helen Schaefer. So if any address is given to a known fucking psychopathic stalker and he's making threats like that, that came from Helen Schaefer. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And yes, I did get that information from Darzen, or Dawn did, and I did report it to the people that need. But first, to my employer, like I said, you're not. I'm not just a U.S. citizen abroad. Okay, I'm a U.S. fucking employee abroad. You dumb fuck, and you don't make threats like that. Me calling you out for being a psychopathic fucking stalker who you consistently lie and dox and go real life. And at that time, he was trying to get fucking. He was talking hella mad shit about Darzen, putting up videos, 9-year-old videos of him and patients, that were in his care from 90 years ago. That's how low y'all go, okay? And me calling that out, I get called a liar about domestic violence, and it culminated within 24, 36 hours with fucking threats being made by that toothless fucking psychopathic stalker against me. So you're damn right I did the diligent thing. And you're damn right I was proactive about it. And when you say your chickens are coming home to roost, I hope they're fucking coming home to roost. Because there are some things that you just don't do. And you don't make threats to people. You don't make threats to me, especially. And think that it's going to go unaddressed. That it's just going to be ignored. Because you're fucking scary. Your boyfriend is scary. You're scary because of him. I don't even recognize you as the person that I was friends with all those years ago. I certainly don't recognize you as anybody telling the goddamn truth. And because of y'all's fuckery, this is coming. Everybody's chickens are coming home to roost. When it comes in regards to this lawsuit, fucking stalking and doxing and going real life, saying that you know where I am and I'll be gone soon. The only way they would know anywhere where I was is an address coming from a book that Helen Schaefer sent John years ago that he got for his girlfriend at the goddamn time. Do you know what that did? You know what that did, having to tell those people there might be somebody doorstepping you because there's a Norwegian shit show that's an actual psychopathic stalker and his girlfriend gave him this address because I bought something for a Crowd Justice fundraiser 5 years ago? Do you have any idea? That's what I'm talking about, collateral goddamn damage. That's the shit that y'all have done. And these are the people that are saying that are working for you, Frank Rzucek Jr. Address that. Instead of coming in here and making childish goddamn comments under genetic codes, community posts, address that shit. The same people that your mother said, stop tagging me in your stupid shit. Address that instead of coming in here and saying, ah ha ha, laughing my ass off. Address the real questions. That's why they dropped the exemplary damages claim, because you couldn't address the real fucking hard question. You can't answer. You can't tell the goddamn truth. So we're going to be reading the particulars of claim, all 24 pages of it. I don't know if we should show it because I don't want her to have it taken down and to have her get a strike, because we all know what they do with their malicious strikes and their stupid ass fucking privacy bullshit. Yes, you got people saying that people like Cassius and Darzet, everybody here abuses children. Everybody here is a fucking pedophile. Everybody here abuses women. Everybody here does this. Everybody here is evil. Everybody here is this. Everybody's been stalked. Everybody's been doxxed. Everybody's had their job gone after. And don't think for 1 second, I don't really think that if they knew where I worked or who my employer was, that they wouldn't be contacting them. Because they absolutely would. And for what? For telling the goddamn truth. For saying that your boyfriend is a goddamn fucking psychopathic stalker. And he's dangerous. And he's scary. And he's never going to stop because he can't do anything else. And you're just like, y'all won't stop because you don't have anything else. Prove me fucking wrong. Of course you're beyond me annoyed. Pig noises. Jesus Christ. This is where I think that I should start singing some Blondie, Heart of Glass. And fuck you for putting that goddamn shit up. Because my one woman crush, if I could fuck any woman in the entire world, it would have been Debbie Harry. It would have been Debbie Harry. And I shit you not. My bucket list was to go and see her in concert, which I did. I saw her at Stubbs. And if anybody is stalking me, there's no train noises around. Stubbs, a little place up in Austin, Texas. I went and saw Blondie back then, a couple of years ago. And it was fucking
hi.
It was the best night of my goddamn life. Shut up, I'm on a rant. It was the best fucking night of my goddamn life, going and seeing Debbie Harry. And she still was so fucking hot. I would have jumped on stage, torn off my shirt, and tried to have her suck on my goddamn nips. Because she's my one female crush. But what happened? What happened? You got this fucking psychotic goddamn stalking dachshund freak named Timmy, meow meow, give me fishes, bitch, coming over here talking about Blondie like that. Genetic code, Heart of Glass. Fuck you for doing that. Fuck you for doing that to Debbie.
Can I actually interject? That's so funny. It reminded me, I heard when I was rewatching that stream you were on after I got down or I couldn't hear what was going on, Kiss saying to you, if we see an account come in or an alt come in asking for curly fishes, that's gonna...
That was yesterday on Wicked. Kiss my accent. If I ever see an alt account for Suki saying, give Suki fishes, I'm going to fucking have you tied up and taken to the mental hospital now.
Look at the meat we've got in the freezer. We're going to suck the meal dry off the bone.
I'm not kidding you. And what was so funny is, and I remember telling John, it's like, God, yeah, she's my one girl crush. If I could fuck any woman, it would be Debbie Harry. And remember the Camp Fun Time t-shirt from
tell us how you really feel, Sam.
Come on. Okay, back in the day, 1977, she came out on stage on their tour, their Heart of Glass tour, and she had the Camp Fun Time t-shirt on, right? And that, oh my God, when they did when she released her album, I think it would have been like 2017. My brother, knowing my thing for Debbie, bought me the CD along with the fucking vintage Camp Fun Time shirt. Oh my God. But because of my fun bags being too big, it wouldn't fit me. So I ended up giving it to Maddie. And I was like, God,
what did you say? Your what?
My fun bags were too big, so the t-shirt didn't fit me. So I gave it to Maddie. But that's how big a fan I am of Debbie Harry. And I remember talking to John about it when we started talking and all of that. We were just getting to know each other. And when I left the Azalea Way, again, 333 Azalea Way, New Braunfels, Texas, 78132, choo-choo, chugga-chugga with your train. And I moved to a place off of WALD Road, New Braunfels, Texas, surrounded again, right near the goddamn train museum, choo-choo again.
And then remember,
Do you remember? I went to my brother's house, and my brother is a pop culture, collector. I mean, going for everything. And he had this Debbie Harry fucking poster up, right? Wearing the Can't Fun Time t-shirt that was showing it to John. It was awesome. So I say again, fuck you for saying that. Genetic code, there's a hidden message in heart of glass.
The pity you couldn't give me his address, because then they qualified. No,
wasn't the other one like Laura Branigan, Gloria? I'm not even sure, but it was ridiculous.
Gloria.
But the chain, it's the same. It's the same
It's
noise.
the
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she was trying to connect with me because she's gay. I'm embarrassed that you're gay. You're not part of my gay team. That's for fucking sure, Allison Purcell. And shut the fuck up. Keep my name out of your mouth. She must be a Chewbacca too, then. Of course you can. Now that I know you had a crush on Debbie Harry, you're so in.
Thank you. Who knew? Who knew? See? Nobody knows the salty. Y'all think you know salty, but you really don't. So what do you think? I want to read this shit.
Yeah, no, I'm down to do it for sure. Not right now, obviously, but maybe. But yeah, I think it's definitely time that be done, because, as I said, I mean, we had that, and we purposely didn't put it out because it wasn't available as a request, and I figured we'd probably have Cohen Davis after us taking it down, but it's now publicly available and you can request it. So there's no reason, especially now, why that can't come out and be read.
So okay, let's just ask the people in the chat. Don't need to ask the love of my life because I already know he's going to say yes. Do y'all want to hear the particulars of claim? I read parts of it earlier. Do y'all want to hear it in its entirety or read it in its entirety?
If you do, just put a Y for yes in the chat. Are you interested in us going through the particulars of claim for this civil case that was put together by Cohen Davis for AD? Oh, we have Sheila going all the way out saying, yes, please do that. I think it would bring a lot more clarity of when we, there's stuff obviously we haven't divulged that's in these, any of the particulars of claim until the bit that Sam just read. But I think once you hear these particulars of claim, you're gonna even understand more.
You're gonna be outraged. You're gonna be outraged.
Yeah, even more so than you already are, if you can actually believe it.
And in the very end, when he said everything in this is the truth to the best of my knowledge, when he flat out lied in it, and some of those particulars are just flat out fucking falsities and lies. And that's what I think really outraged me the most. And then again, seeing how everything we collated it was thrown away. It was, everything that they put in there as instances of defamation or harassment or libel centered around the Crown Justice Fund. And in some of the things that he said, including what we've been saying. We're going to have to do it. Okay. So it's a done deal. Well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it soon. So we are going to plan on doing it tomorrow. We're not going to make anybody wait. We're going to do it tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
I think
I actually will have the ability to be at a better connection, so I shouldn't be so much of a yo-yo. But do you want to do it on your channel? Well, we can figure that out. We'll decide whether it's Salty or my channel. It'll be one of the two anyway. We'll figure that out. Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to love y'all and leave you, as Wiggins says, and I am going to jump down, and then you can end your show however you want, my lovely, lovely friend. And we will make plans if we will be doing that tomorrow, guys. I love you too. I really do.
All right. Thanks for coming up and helping me keep my stream anchored.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to, I think that's a perfect segue to, oh, thank God she's gone. Now we can really talk about her now that she's, thank God. Man, do you know how tough that was having her next to me that whole time? No, Salty knows she's my ride or die, baby. So I am gonna end this now. So to quickly, very, very quickly stop the overall civil claim of Rzucek versus Vinnicombe. Frankie was granted a default judgment because AD's defense was procedurally struck out. Frankie did not win because the case proved AD liable of defamation and harassment via a trial. Being granted a default judgment because of a procedural striking out of a defense is not the same as winning a case that did prove AD liable of defamation and harassment. Now, moving on from that, there was an order. So AD has been seeking an appeal. Some may or may not know. Well, now you know. AD is seeking an appeal. Last week on July 17th, So in the interim, after this default, sorry, I'm kind of jumping, but after this default judgment, a request for exemplary damages costs was submitted. This was claim was Jen the Yo-Yo. That's me, Tamara. So that claim for exemplary damage costs was requested, and the claim was put in by Cohen Davis. Subsequently, last week, so there should have been a remedies hearing this Thursday. That's not happening anymore. There is no remedies hearing. Alan is not going to jail. He's not having assets seized. He's not being fined. The remedy hearing this Thursday is canceled. It's not happening because they wanted to find out, basically because AD is seeking an appeal, they want to work through that process. Now, in the interim, because this exemplary damages cost was submitted and requested, because so if the claim, so this Judge Nicholin said last July 17th, last week, if the claim for exemplary damages is to be pursued, the defendant is entitled to defend himself against a claim for said remedy. In the interim, because the claimant and his solicitors would have been required possibly to disclose key documents, internal communications. He might have been, Frankie himself might have been cross-examined under oath regarding his behavior, fundraising, all about the non-lawyering liar, Claire Morgan. That also could have included the conduct of those involved in the legal and all the fundraising campaign. At this stage, since July 17th, that request for exemplary damage costs has been withdrawn by Cohen Davis. And that's where we're at. So hopefully I'm still here. You guys can all hear me. This connection's probably going to drop out. I'm going to end it here. You guys are wonderful. I appreciate being able to have some civil discourse about all of this, which was all we've been trying to do for, I guess, years now. So Sam and I will connect and figure out when we're going to do a dramatic reading of the particulars of claim, and you guys will be the first to know. Appreciate you for putting up with me being a yo-yo, and well, you know, that salty bitch. She's got a cute mascot now. That's now the mascot of my channel. Not mascot, mascot. Yes, AD was going to be arrested, according to them. He was going to be arrested and clapped in irons at the Old Bailey. Yeah. So I saw a comment from Iva. I'm going to end on this note. Good old Iva Problem had made a comment earlier on my channel. She said, withdrawn, no victory, no AD in jail, no monetary settlement. That wasn't why the GoFundMe was started originally. Oh my God. This has come at a huge shock and out-of-pocket expense to me. Not, she says. So there we go. All right, I'm going to end it here. You guys have been fantastic. I will be back with my salty bitch. I think she said maybe tomorrow. I'm going to, I should be on a better internet connection. I'm going to make sure to make that happen. And in the interim, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Cheers, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Talk soon.